What's happening, beautiful people? What's going on out there? Y'all might see a familiar face that's unfamiliar on this channel, but everybody who doesn't know, this is Mr. Benjamin Belkin of Jack Wolf Knives.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here. Thank you for having me and looking forward to talking with y'all.
Heck yeah, we got Jared White in the room, Mr. Jeremy Spalding, Brother Worm, with his little thumbnail that creeps Kevin out, apparently. Brother Jared White, Patina Pants. How are you guys doing tonight?
I like that name, Patina Pants. That's awesome.
Oh, Patina
Jason
Bridges.
Brown. What's up, man?
The bearded wonder is in the house.
Man, I talk about like something to aspire to, you know?
I know, right? makes every man feel less than. So what are you guys up to tonight? You having a wild and crazy Saturday evening, or are you just gonna chill here with me and old Benny here, talk about knives? Jeremy Lawler, what's up, my friend? Brother Jevon. Blaze Burger, what's up, boners?
Boner time.
It's boner time. Well, I mean, it's kind of a sausage fest, so I hope not. But yeah. Oh, and Chris Wolf in the house. There's the other bearded wonders. We got two guys in here that have like the beard of 30 men. Z-Man, what's up, Z-Man? Z-Man is on the road. He'll be traveling and listening in. The beard is all I have going for me. No, Jason, I'm sure you've got much more than that.
What more does a man need?
I know, right? I mean, yours ain't too shabby yourself there, Benny. You got a pretty good looking beard there going.
Well, thank you, my friend. I turned 40 and I managed to only have a little bit of gray in there. So, like, you know, I'm happy about it.
Hey, you can't beat that. And couldn't ask for more. Dark Gravity says, be careful. He'll try and trick you out of those sick ass knives you got coming. I might do that. I've been known to be a trickster. But I think Benny's a little bit too smart for that.
I don't get accused of being smart too often, but I do appreciate it.
Jason Brown, my beard is mostly white. Well, so is Santa Claus's, and hey, he gets all the ladies.
That's true, man. You know, he hits a bunch of houses in one night, doesn't he?
Exactly. You think he's just dropping off gifts? Nah.
Oh, he's dropping off gifts, all right. I'll tell you a funny beard story if we got a minute.
Oh, we got plenty of time, man. Go for it.
Probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess like 2017, 2018. You know, I've had my beard now I think I started growing my beard in 2016. And I've had it ever since. So after maybe a year or two of having it, I had to see like how long it could get and what it would look like in its like full glory. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't not know any longer. And so I just let this thing grow. I let the mustache grow. I let the beard grow, the sideburns, like everything. And, you know, it was like here, like Jason Brown style, but not as luxurious as his. And, you know, it gets to the point where like, I like to go to the Vietnamese restaurant and eat pho. You know, it's like that Vietnamese soup. A lot of things like dipping in your soup, you know, and like you try to eat a sandwich and every bite is just hair. And that was getting a little unruly. And, you know, my wife was like mostly cool about it, but I knew she wanted it gone. And I knew it was probably time to cut it back when people started telling me I look like Tom Hanks and Forrest Gump running across the country.
Oh, man.
People telling me I looked homeless. And I was like, yeah, it's probably gone on long enough. But it was cool to see, you know, what that looked like. And when I look at pictures of that moment, now I'm just like, oh my God, how did I like talk myself into that, you know? And who's to say I won't do it again? But that's my beard story.
That's awesome, man. And I swear there's a technique to it, man. I mean, these guys, they've learned over the years how to keep it looking neat, I guess, and how to keep it out of their food. And I think, you know, until it gets long enough to throw over your shoulder, you're kind of screwed. Like there's got to maybe stuff it down in your shirt or something. I don't know. But I think my terminal length is like, it gets down to, I think it got about maybe 5 or 6 inches and it just stopped. Like it was just done.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know what this is, but I just got a package. My
Right.
daughter just brought up a package. I don't know when it got here, where it's from,
Hopefully you got a knife.
it's not ticking. Priority 3-day. Package Express, proud customer of 1401 Marvin Road, Northeast, Suite 307, Lacey, Washington, 98516. Does anybody recognize that address?
Nope.
Nope. Yeah, when I guess when all your friends started introducing you as their homeless friend, you it was time to give it a little trim.
Yeah, and it was getting to like, I grew my hair too, so that I should have mentioned that didn't help with the whole aesthetic. And when the beard gets out long, it's just all in your face when you're sleeping and everything. And then I wouldn't feel like styling my hair, so I was wearing a hat every single day, and it's just time for a change. Peanut butter toast is the enemy, 100%. Peanut butter toast is a problem.
You find a whole slice of peanut butter toast 3 days later still there. Like, well, I was hungry. Hey, that works.
There's like a bird chirping. It's living in there. You don't know how he got in there. So, another thing too, it was long, like you say, that terminal length, like the ends of it were like white or blonde. I don't know what that was all about. It grew so long, the ends were like dead looking. It just started to not look good. So I had to take care of that. And now I found, for me, I trim it above my lip. I think, at least I don't have one of those mustaches that grows real long and you can kind of brush it to the side all thick and beautiful. So mine just grows like straight down over my lip. It doesn't look good.
You take a bite out of something, you're like, ow, because you bit a hair and pulled it, and
yeah, it feels like you're chewing on a hairbrush. So I trim it over the lip. I'd like to keep it kind of tighter on the sides, and this is kind of my magic kind of maintenance length.
That's your sweet spot right there.
That's my sweet spot. It's like enough to go out into public. You dress up nice, and people, don't think you're, my my house, like where I used to live, I hadn't seen my next door neighbor for a while during that period. She's like an elderly lady, and she saw me outside by my vehicle with the giant beard and the long hair, and she thought I was like going undercover for like police work. And she asked my wife if I was undercover with the police. I was like, tell her I am.
No, he's going to be in Forrest Gump meets Castaway Part 2.
Right.
All right. Well, it's a bag. It's a padded envelope inside a padded envelope. And there is a padded envelope inside that padded envelope. I think somebody's playing with me here. Oh, I know what it is. I do. Well, I thought I did. Hold on a second.
What you got?
It's knives, but I don't remember who they're from.
That's awesome. I can't wait to get to a point where I'm just getting knives in the mail. Like, where did these things come from again? Yeah, Jeremy, I feel you, man. I wanted so badly to have this like long mustache that I could just kind of like have over to the side, and I even tried the mustache wax for a while. Like, it's a lot of work, and for me, I had to come to terms with that. Trim it over the lip. That's what works the best, and it's a lot more enjoyable to eat.
It looks like we had Alex from the Knife Box channel and Kiefer sneak in here while we were jabbering. And I'm still trying to figure out who sent these knives because I don't want to show them without giving credit where credit's due first. Did any of you guys send me knives?
We need help from the community. Where did he get these knives from?
I know. I put an APB out on the person who sent these knives.
No note in the bag in the bag or anything?
Let's see, there was. I don't think there was in the first bag. No, there's not a note in the second bag. And
What's
nothing in
up,
the
Knife
third bag.
Box? What's up, Eggs and Ham? It's good to see you guys. Frank Rizzo. Hey, Frank Rizzo's in the house. Sizzle
Frank
check.
Rizzo's here. Oh no.
You know what's funny, man?
Hey, Jerky.
For what? Exactly, right? Like, I've been getting, I don't know what it is, like turning 40 or whatever, you start to get nostalgic maybe a little more. And so I started thinking about the Jerky Boys, and it's on Spotify, I think is where I found it. And I played it. Dude, I was dying in my car. I was
Yeah.
cracking up. That shit is hilarious.
Like that, it ages very well. I mean, it's still funny to this day. Ego, the return address is Washington, but it's not a name. It just says Package Express, proud customer of, and then it has a road and Lacey, Washington. Lacey, Washington.
Yo, tell me the address. I'm gonna look it up.
It's well, then I feel like I might have doxed somebody and everybody when we figure out who it is.
Text it to me in the private. Text it to me in the private chat. Maybe we could do something like that. Jeremy said could be Zach.
No, I don't think it's Zach.
Is it a brand or something who shipped you some stuff from a fulfillment center?
No,
or a retailer.
Because I think it was. Is it the same brand of knife? But they came in a Civivi pouch and a Kaiser pouch, so I don't think it's a customer a company.
What was your guys' favorite Jerky Boy skit? Do you guys like Frank Rizzo? Do you like the Egyptian magician? Do you like Saul Rosenberg?
I like Saul Rosenberg. Isn't he the one that had they stick pieces of furniture up my ass?
Yeah, he's like, I need a new pair of glasses.
Marvin Road. And I mean, I did read out the address earlier, but I don't think anybody was paying attention.
Jay Evans is down with Saul. Saul's great. Keeper likes Saul. I swear, guys, tonight after I get off the stream, I'm firing up the Jerky Boys. I just can't wait for my kids to be old enough where I can play them that stuff, you know? And that was back when, like, you could make a prank phone call and get away with it. Now, you can't really prank phone call anyone.
See, the funny thing is, the little characters that I've done a few skits with on my channel, they were all characters I used to use when I was younger and do prank phone calls. And like, I mean, I would have actual skits worked out for like telemarketers and stuff, because the funnest ones were when telemarketers would call, because you definitely couldn't get in trouble because you're like, well, they called me, I was just talking to them, you know.
Right.
But,
yeah.
I had this one lady rolling because she said she could save me money on my long distance calls, and I was like, well, how about to like if I was calling out to Las Vegas? And she was like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, anywhere you're calling to, we can save you money. I was like, well, that's good, because I make a lot of calls out to Las Vegas because my wife left me for this Vegas lounge singer named Nikki Cannoli. And like just went on, and she said at one point, she said something about, man, I would really hate to. She was believing me too, I think, up until this. She was like, man, I'd really hate to be in your shoes. And I said, well, I don't think you could fit in them, ma'am. I wear size 16.5. And she was like, dear God, you've got to be tall. And I was like, I wouldn't say tall. I'm around like 5'3", 5'4", somewhere around there.
That's awesome.
But and I know, well, one of them, I ended up getting a date out of it. I called, and some younger girl answered, which younger, she was like my age. I think I was like 24, 25 at the time. And I said something. I said, what did I say? I said, is Bobby Gilroy there? Because if he is, you tell that son of a bitch I'm about to whip his ass. And she goes, Mom. And I was like, oh crap, I scared her. I was like, hey, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. And we started talking or whatever, and she lived like right down the road from me. I said, well, meet me at the mall at the food court Friday and hang out.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So no clues, guys, on who sent these knives. I'm freaking at a loss. Washington. No, because they're from California.
Lacey, Washington is near Olympia. If that means
Okay.
anything to you. Do you guys remember, like on the vein of prank phone calls, the crank yankers on Comedy
Yeah.
Central, the
Yeah.
puppets? Those are pretty good too. But the Jerky Boys were the original.
Yeah. That they were definitely they had a lot going for them. They kind of they were like the Andrew Dice Clay of prank phone calling. Okay,
Yep.
these are. Did anybody send me any Miguron knives? There, so because this is what they are. They're big baddies. This dude here,
It's pretty sweet.
yeah, and this guy here. And Alex said, "Well, let's see." Yeah.
Maybe part of the pass around, Jeremy said.
Well, they could be, but I don't remember signing up for any of these. And we're supposed to write like Apex on the envelopes now. So I don't know.
I think
I
one of
will.
my favorite crank. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, dude.
Oh, you good, dude? Go for it.
I think one of my favorite crank anchor skits was when he calls the hardware store and he's asking about the different colors of cock. And he's like, "Do you have white cock?" He's like, "Do you have black cock?" And the woman on the other end is dying, trying to act all serious. And it's like that British guy who's always like, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." And he's like, I'm just sitting here thinking of that stuff. It makes me laugh. He's always like, "Whatever it costs, I want you to double it and cut it in half." And people are just so fucking confused at that shit. Someone needs to like kind of bring that back
Yeah,
somehow.
dude. I don't know. Who was it? Forrest asked how long the blade is on the first one. Um, to be exact, it's long. It's like really long. Uh, let's see what we got, y'all. Look
Oh,
at three,
Blade,
three
dude,
and
that's
three
awesome,
quarters.
man.
Looking at like 3 3/4 is the blade length on this guy.
So who made that one? He said.
It's this is says it's both of them are Miguron, Miguron. This one it's and they're pretty sterile. Like both of them are sterile as crap, man. There's no markings anywhere on the like anywhere on it, and this one doesn't even have like any kind of logo. The only way you know what it is, and you won't be able to see it, but inside, maybe you can. I don't know. Inside on the backspacer, it says Miguron Knives 019. What's up, Hollywood Tactical? It's good to see you, buddy. I was lurking on your live stream earlier and was about to chat with you, but I had to leave.
Jason,
Not
I
on the,
don't know MXC. What's MXC? Why does it sound familiar? What is that? Elaborate.
no, I don't either, but it does sound familiar. It sounds like something that would be on MTV or something. I don't know.
And Jared, I did not know that story about the serial killer confessing on Howard Stern. That would have been some quality content.
Holy balls. Yeah, dude. Can you imagine being Howard? Like he's just seeing dollar signs. I mean, of course, I'm sure he probably felt bad for the various hookers that were killed, but
MXC, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. I don't think I watched that.
no, I don't think I have either.
That
What are you
sounds
guys
cool.
out there carrying tonight? And also, did any of you guys send 2 Miguron knives? I'm guessing that's what this one is too, because it's got a big M on the pivot there.
I'm gonna go grab my carry. Be back in a moment.
Right on. What's happening there, Marcos, my friend? Benny dipped out for a second, but he'll be back to say hello. It was a Japanese game show like Wipeout with hilarious overdubs. Ah, was it on like Comedy Central or I don't know, man. It sounds so familiar, and I swear I had to have watched it. Blaze Burgers carrying the Tucson 140 Bowhead.
Hey, what's up, Marcos? Good to see you.
Spike
Yeah,
Network.
Spike.
Okay, that sounds. I'm sure I've probably seen episodes, but didn't. It's been so long that it doesn't register, and I've lost way too many brain cells. Two United Bruiser for Forrest. That's a good knife. It's definitely a bruiser. Jared White's got the Astronomad and Sea Snake. Dark Gravity's got the Emerson Commander. Bravo 1 Necker and Elmax for Jeremy Lawler. We Pier and Fair and Forge Mini Archbishop for Jeremy Spalding. I've been really Emerson's really piqued my interest here as of late. I want one of those mini A100s like bad. Javon carried his Blade HQ bug out in his shorts today. That's what you got in your shorts, buddy.
Nice. Hope they were shorts.
Hot pants. Mini Sheepdog for Jason Brown. Is it what flavor mini Sheepdog are we talking, Jason? Boxer shorts. That would work because I mean the bug out has a clip, so he can clip it right there to his elastic and keep on trucking.
This is a slip I carried in today.
Ooh, that's nice.
Now, slips are kind of a slip joint thing, obviously, because you don't have a clip. And if you guys don't know this guy, his name's River. His company's called Sage Grouse Leather. He's on Instagram. He does all this detail work, does some stuff carved by hand, but he stamps in things with hand tools. He uses that like really nice thick leather. The quality is just phenomenal. And it's kind of that Western style. But you can contact him, look at his website, and look at all the different stuff he does and spec what you want, which is kind of nice. He's doing valet trays now, and he's got ones that have snaps, so you can unsnap the corners and fold them flat, and travel with them real easy. And I just want to plug him because he's a real nice dude. He's super into slip joints, and he's been really supportive of my project. So shout out to River at Sage Grouse Leather. And in it, and let me just show you guys real quick. Sorry. So like the knife will stay in there, but if you kind of pinch it, it'll drop right out. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that style there.
That's a TC Barlow. And I've been after one of these for my EDC rotation for a long time. This is African Blackwood, the handle. And this is a Spade Blade. If anybody's familiar with a Spade Blade.
You don't see that very often on a TC.
No, man, they haven't done a whole lot. If the etch says a new day, there it is with the rooster. And they've done some Spade Blades with a nail nick, and then this one has the long pull, and they're both cool. Starting to get a little patina. I sliced up an apple today with it, so we're starting that process. And I had it sharpened, so it's stupid sharp.
Yeah,
but it's kind of a, like you're not going to do a lot of. The tip is a little bit more blunted. That's part of what makes a Spade Blade a Spade Blade. But dude, it can spread some peanut butter.
Hey, we don't mention peanut butter on this live stream. it tends to cause a frenzy.
So yeah, I was super stoked to get this, and it has like just a walk and talk on it. It's so good.
Oh, it's got that perfect. Roadrunner half stop too.
It sure does.
That's sweet.
Nice big. Whoop. Yeah. So real pleased to score
this. Gary Last Ranger says I spay my cats with that.
One of my so my wife's from rural Texas, and I've met some of her family, of course, and like some family friends. And one of their family friends wrote me and was telling me he wants one of my knives to cut the nuts off his cattle with. And I was like, I'm definitely getting you a knife to cut the nuts off your cattle with. Like, that's awesome. That's like, it's real work. So I was kind of stoked for that.
Heck yeah.
Marcos,
Oh, you got it.
yeah, is that blade almost like the pharmacist's blade? If you're talking about like a doctor's knife, there's a certain slip joint pattern called the doctor's knife. It's kind of they'll have a few characteristics. It's usually long and skinny, has a squared off bottom for smashing pills, and then it'll have a spatula basically for stirring elixir. Because back in the day when the pharmacist would, the doctor would whoop up his own medicine. I suppose you could use it as a tongue depressor too, or whatever else you might use it for. But I think the idea was one end of it's for smashing pills and crushing powder, and the other end is for mixing. So this isn't that blade. This blade, a spade blade, is used for neutering animals. And they call it obviously spaying animals. And then the tip is usually not as sharp. So when you're performing that, you don't gouge the animal in the leg when he's kicking because he's not too happy about the process.
He's not pleased about the nut cutting.
No.
Oh, Jason Brown had the 154 cm green micarta going gear version of the mini sheepdog. That's a pretty knife. That's actually the knife that the first sheepdog that actually caught my eye was that one.
That's right, Jason. Splay bait is common on a trapper. Usually get a spay and a clip point on a trapper.
That California clip or whatever they call it, the long, skinny, slender clip
California
point.
clip, muskrat clip. You kind of hear them both ways, but exactly.
What's up, KC?
You're welcome,
it's good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, dude. Good to see you. You're welcome on the details. If you want some of those leftover cattle nuts, I got your address. They call them Rocky Mountain oysters. You cook them up and eat them.
So one day KC's going to be on a live stream, and he's like, I got a package in today, guys. I don't know who it's from. I can't remember anybody that's supposed to be sending me any knives. And he cuts it open and bull nuts fall out. The little cocaine spoon on the doctor's knives.
Yeah, doctor's got a lot of house calls to make. He's got to stay awake.
Yes, doctor's little helper. The only TC Barlow I've ever had was it 2016 or it was the Blade Forums. The natural canvas micarta with, I think it had a sheep's foot blade.
Yep, that was the first time they did a crescent nick on a sheep's foot.
Yeah.
And also, first time they ever put micarta on a TC Barlow. And I think that was a satinized bolster on that too. I think
it was.
I think that was the first time they ever did that on a TC Barlow. So that was kind of a cool knife, if you were a collector because of those reasons. And they were relatively accessible. I think they made 500 of them, and that's not a common production size for any one knife. So yeah, I love that knife, dude. That's a good one.
Matter of fact, I traded for it. I traded, and like the guy approached me with it. I had it. It was a Bark River knife, and I'd only paid like $75 for the Bark River. And I had posted a picture of it, and he was like, "Hey, would you consider, letting that Bark River go?" And I was like, for the most part, barring, special circumstances, I'd pretty much let anything go that I've bought or traded for. And he was like, "Well, I've got this TC Barlow that I'll trade you." And he sent me the picture, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, for $75 worth of knife, yep, you got it. Here you go, buddy."
Score.
But then I ended up selling it. I don't think I even really jacked the price. I think I sold it for maybe 125 or something.
That's a good deal.
Oh, right on, Gary. You just did some Coke last night. That's what's up. You have a video of your... Oh, drank some Coke. Okay.
I was going to say, I did some Diet Coke at lunch today. That was pretty good.
Cocaine, heroin, and grain alcohol. What are you guys doing out there, man? This is not that kind of party.
Aren't those the 3 food groups?
Yeah. So what is your favorite pattern of slip joint?
That's a great question. My favorite pattern, probably if I had to pick one, just the simple sleeve board, like that number 15. I don't know why. It's symmetrical. It's simple. It can be 3.5 inches. It can be 3 3/4 or 4. It can even be 4 1/4 and work. It can be a single blade. It can be a double blade. It's not really fit for a triple blade, but when you're starting to get into 3 blades, to me, that's, even more so art and exhibition and less utility for me.
Right.
So yeah, that's probably my favorite, but I certainly doesn't mean I don't love a bunch of the other ones.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think mine would have to be the Barlow. What's up, Bill? It's good to see you, man. People were just asking about you, buddy. Um, and specifically, I think my favorite Barlow would be the Yankee Barlow from GEC. And I think the reason is I think there's a little butthurtedness in there because I think it was 2017. I just heard of Great Eastern Cutlery, never heard of them before, and I was like, I need to check these guys out. Well, I checked out Collector's Knives, and that was back when they were still doing the lottery, and I just looked up and got in on one of the 77s, and I really didn't know what I was getting. It was I think it had the clip, and it was the 2-blade clip and maybe spear, I think, like a clip and pin, and it was in red saw cut bone. I got it, showed it off a few times, and I think I paid like 125 for it. A guy offered me 175, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll just get another one. Sold it to him, then found out that you can't just like go get another one.
Right. Yeah, there is no getting another one. Man, I would say, if the number 15 Barlows didn't exist, that'd be the easy choice, that number
Yeah,
77 Barlow, because the 15 is, I'm not going to say it's too small because it's not too small, but it's smaller.
right,
And you get in, and it's only a 1/4 inch bigger, really, that 77, but it's like, it's scaled up. It's not just a 1/4 inch longer, it's a 1/4 inch bigger. And
right.
at that point, it's like, it's I'd say as close to perfect as you're ever going to get on a Barlow.
Yeah,
And man, that thing's beautiful. And they just didn't make a bunch of them. They've been coveted since the minute they hit the ground. I veered away from collecting them because for 2 reasons. One, just trying to stay focused on my mission, which was the 15. But number 2, way too competitive, man. Like,
oh
not
yeah,
enough of them, and everybody loved them. So it was like, let someone else bang their head against the wall on that one.
yeah. That was rough.
Damn near the perfect knife. And sometimes I'm like up in the air. They did 2 versions of the clip point. The first version of the clip point, and which you guys would see if like you've ever seen the number 77 Blade Forms knife, which was actually the production pattern premiere of the 77. It had a clip point blade, it had stag handles, had a fluted bolster, and a houndstooth shield. Like, it's a really cool knife. And so that same clip point blade ended up on the first versions of the Barlow. But then they modified the clip point blade to look like the number 15's clip point blade. And I like them both. And sometimes I can't choose which one I like better. But yeah, those number 77 Barlows are pretty awesome.
Yes, and they come in. I mean, they've got them in all the beautiful cover materials. Like, and I get so jealous when I would see people like post their collection on the GC group or whatever, and they would just look so freaking phenomenal. I'm like, I want them all.
Yep, I know that feeling.
What's up, Jigsaw? Good to see you, my friend. How are you doing? Oh, and EDC Oz is in the house. One of the Panda brothers.
Yeah, we got 23 people in here now. Hey, everybody,
Okay.
do us a favor, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for?
Hey, there's Greg Wilson. I just got a comment from him today and responded. What's up, Greg? Good to see you, buddy. And I'm glad you could. I literally just commented something about. I hope to see you at one of our lives coming up. We have a good time in there, and here he is. So welcome, man.
Good to see all you guys.
So, Jack Wolf, man, what's any updates?
Well, I wish I had more to say. I'm in kind of I guess you'd call it a lull, waiting for production. And what's happening across the industry, not just to me, but other designers who are using OEMs, is timelines are being extended, deposits are being taken, promises are being made, but at the same time, timelines are being extended. And it's probably a function of a couple things. One, an expanding knife industry, a lot of demand, a lot of orders from these OEMs, and then coupled with material acquisition problems that are happening globally. Not enough skilled labor to do all the work, whether that's in China, Italy, or even mostly, not mostly, but specifically in the United States. We're having those problems here. So, yeah, I'm just kind of waiting. Now, I'm not waiting idly. I've been talking to some other manufacturers to do some different projects in addition to the slip joints you guys have seen. So I've been working those angles. Still a little premature to give details because not ready to show the hand yet. It's too premature, but I'm working on that. I've got 2 shows coming up. I'm going to be at the USN Gathering. It's my first time participating in that. That's over Labor Day weekend here in Vegas at the Planet Hollywood. If anybody's in the area, you're looking for something to do, check it out. And then there's Blade Show West, which is in Long Beach, October 8th. So I'll have my table set up there. I'll have the prototypes for 7 models that I had at the Blade Show, plus I'll have prototypes for 4 more models that weren't displayed at the Blade Show. And I was considering teasing those on social media, but I'm going to reveal them initially at the USN show. I thought that'd be kind of a cool thing for folks who trek out to the show to get their first glimpse there. And once I get back from the show, I'll start posting pictures of those.
Heck yeah, dude. That's you got some exciting times coming up ahead of you, man.
Looking forward to it for sure.
Was this when you went to the rendezvous this year, right? Was that your first one of those?
It was. Yep.
Oh,
and
man.
Kind of kicking myself for not having gone before.
Yeah, so you're getting all kinds of firsts this year, man. Which you had been to you've been to the Atlanta Blade Show before, or this was your first for that too?
Nope. I've always been, collecting from afar and building close relationships with, people that I knew in the collector circle. But, until recently, I don't typically like to draw a lot of attention to myself, or really draw a lot of attention to my collection. It kind of makes me uncomfortable, to be completely honest with you. But I knew that once I had this dream and wanted to pursue this opportunity, I had to sort of shake that and be willing to put myself out there, share my passion and, my stuff. And so I've been trying to improve that about myself. So yeah, going to shows, being a part of the community, like face to face, participating with you guys on social media. And you know what? It's been great. You kind of get over your social anxiety a little bit and get yourself out there. And you're like, why the heck didn't I do this like 2 or 3 years ago? Because everybody's so freaking cool.
Yeah, I know, right? That and I would have never have guessed because just I ran into you the first time on Bob's his live. You were actually on his live, like talking and stuff. And I was like, well, who's this guy? He's a knife maker or something. And I don't think at the time you were even really saying that anything about Jack Wolf because it's good little while back. And then I kept seeing you, and then that Jack Wolf name popped up, and I was like, wait, those 2 names go together. Oh my gosh, that's who that guy is. I never would have guessed that you just kind of really got into the whole social media side of things here recently.
Yeah, I part of it's being strategic, honestly, but another part of it is like recognizing that a lot of this is relationship based. This is emotional. This is relationship based. People want to know you. People want to trust you. And the way you do that is by being honest and making yourself available. And a good way to kind of get in front of we got last time I checked, we're at 27. There's probably 30 dudes in here right now. Well, like, how cool would it be if we were 30 guys hanging out at a restaurant or a bar right now? You
Oh
know, and the
yeah.
only way you kind of get to know people is you got to show up. You got to show up.
Yep.
So, you know, I identified Bob's stream early on. I don't even know how I stumbled across it, but I did. And I thought, you know, this guy's got like a really cool program going. He has an open mic on Thursdays, and I'm just going to go kind of hang out and watch from a distance and, you know, maybe pop in the chat. So I did that, sit for a few weeks, and then I kind of noticed no one like goes on there all that often. A lot of times it's just him. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see how it's like to kind of hop on that stream and see if I can, how I handle that, you know, how that feels to do a little public speaking. So, ever since, man, I just look forward to doing these streams. Anytime, like, you know, you call me and said, let's do this, I'm like, absolutely. This is awesome. You know?
Heck yeah, man. Well, you're a natural dude. I mean, so you fit right in.
Thank you,
Oh,
brother.
Bees. What's up, Bees? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Somebody. Oh, Jason Brown asked a question earlier, and I think I've heard you answer this before. He phrased it. Any plans on a budget line for us poors?
Yes, I want to have, you know, ideally there's three price points, you know, budget, mid-tier, premium, you know what I mean? And so right now I kind of look at the stuff I'm working on now, the mid-tier, um, and budget would be the best quality I can deliver, but you just have to use materials that aren't as expensive to manufacture or to acquire. So that's where you're going to cut the cost, not in fit and finish. So, and then as far as premium, well, that would be, you know, potentially a US manufacturer who's going to cost more, you know, no matter what. That's just a fact. Or materials that are above and beyond, you know, what I'm currently offering would be like the premium. Or maybe it's like multi-blade knives or just something else that's going to cost more to manufacture. Um, and also, I'd like to eventually diversify the product line. You know, how cool would it be to have my own line of locking knives, or some fixed blade opportunities in the catalog? You know, ultimately, I want to be a knife company known for and building my name on traditional knives and slip joints, but I just love knives, you know? And so
Right.
I want to sell knives of all kinds.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big wide world wide open to you as far as the type of knives you can put out there, man. And I mean, you're not. I feel like starting with if you start with slip joints, I mean, you're definitely not limiting yourself in any way. You could move straight into. I mean, even if it was nothing more than at first just locking more traditional style, you know, lockbacks and stuff like that, and then then move on into thumb studs, flippers, that type deal. But I mean, it's
Yep,
wide open for you.
that's the natural progression right there. And, you know, just kind of sticking with that, you know, just kind of follow that natural progression, you know, ride the wave, work to stay on it, but ride that wave. So that's kind of the plan. And for me, it's always like, just my brain's always going like, what could I be doing right now? You know, like if someone who's trying to do this next to me, and if only one of us are going to succeed, like what's that guy doing right now? You know, like is he outworking me? So who do I need to be talking to? What do I need to be doing? And that just keeps me extremely motivated.
Well, that's a good thing because you definitely need to be motivated in this industry.
No doubt.
Let's see. We got Brandon Phoenix just popped in. What's happening, buddy? Good to see you, man. Um, I know we've had a few. Somebody said something about they missed what was in the box. I think it was Jigsaw. Well, it was more of an envelope. If you're talking about what came in the mail that I was not expecting, it was more of several envelopes inside envelopes with very large knives in them, and I'm at a loss as to who they were from. They're two Miguron knives, and maybe Jigsaw has a clue. Got this big baddie, and then this ginormous fella here. And I mean, they're both really nice looking knives, man. I've got to find out who sent these.
I appreciate the sign up, Last Ranger. That's awesome. Yeah, guys, if I have a newsletter on the bottom of jackwolfknives.com. It's not the kind of thing where you're going to get relentless emails from me. I can't stand that personally. In fact, I have not sent an email out to that list yet. When I reach critical milestones, I'll communicate. When there's drops to be advertised, that's when you'll hear from me. And my goal is to notify first the email list. So if you want kind of first stab at something, that's where you're going to hear about it first. And so, I'll kind of give that email list the heads up. Maybe they'll get a day at it before I make the announcement on social media. Now, you know how Facebook is, like someone on that list is going to jump in a group and be like, oh, he's got these for sale, and notify everyone if I'm lucky enough, right, that they're popular. But I would say, don't hesitate to sign up for my list. I will not bombard you with messages. I will not sell your data or share it or whatever. It's just kind of a good way to hear what I consider to be like important communication and drop announcements.
Right on. Hey, think I saw the Instagram link. If it hasn't already been posted, if one of the moderators would like to post the Jack Wolf Knives website link, that would be great as well. So people have it easy access right there.
Yeah, check it out, jackwolfknives.com. My Instagram is @jackwolfknives. If you guys want to see my personal page, I've got the majority of my collection posted up there now. It's at BennyB357.
But if you guys are already kind of feeling bad or kind of coveting slip joints, don't go look at his Instagram, because it'll kill you, man. This is like, I just sit there in awe scrolling through your Instagram, like, oh man, oh I love that. Matter of
Sometimes I
fact,
look at that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I breezed through your entire, like, everything you had posted in like maybe 15 minutes, just scrolling through.
Sometimes I look at that and it's like, you feel two ways about it. It's like, that's pretty awesome. But then on the other hand, it's like, holy shit, like that is like the fruit of addiction right there, and it's like, there's a lot of money there that, had these knives like not appreciated in value, would have been an absolutely terrible investment. And that's like, oh, that probably could have been a new bike for my kid, or I might have made a nice piece of jewelry for my wife. But it's like, no, had to have them. So,
Well,
but
the
I'm
way
I'm blessed to have been able to do that.
oh, for sure. The way I see it though is that money's already been spent. No use crying over spilled milk. So
Nope.
if anybody's hurt about it, I'm sorry. I'll apologize. But nothing I can really do about it now, short of selling them, and that ain't happening. So
Exactly. And I've made a lot of like not very good investments in my life. More failures than successes, that's for sure. And it's just nice to actually have invested a lot of, not just money, but there's a lot of time and effort that went into acquiring those. Like, as you know, dude, they're not just for sale. Like, you have to hunt. You got to hide in a
yes,
bush for a week, waiting for it to
yes,
pop up, and then you got to be ready to strike. So it's like, it's just kind of nice that it's appreciated in value or whatever, but that other people appreciate the collection too and see the aesthetic value in it, the collector value. So that's always kind of cool.
yeah. And then, like you said, adding to it, if they can appreciate how hard some of those are to come by and how much work you had to put into them, you didn't just head down to your local Ace or get on Blade HQ and order it. It took months and months and year, 2 years of you. And and what's worse is seeing that you're literally 5 seconds late. Somebody had posted something that you needed for sale, and the person that got it was literally 5 seconds before you, and it gets you right here.
Absolutely, man. And like you said, it's not just going and buying what's on the shelf and adding it to the collection, dude. it takes effort. You have to build relationships. You have to be communicating with people. You got to find stuff someone else wants so that you can get it for them, so that they can get for you what you want from the other guy. It's like it's involving. It's a
Oh
job.
yeah.
It's what it
Yes.
is.
And
It's a job.
KC said you've already infected him. It's too late for him. He's headed down that rabbit hole now. Yeah, like there have been times where the person that's getting rid of something that I've wanted, they don't want to sell it. They're looking for a specific trade. So then I go hunting for what they're looking for. And it's been like I've done trades with like 3 or 4 people down the line involved. I finally get what this guy wants. He trades me for what this guy wants, who trades me for what I'm looking for. And yeah, it's fun.
It is. And then it's always like, I guess we all get a chuckle when you see it. You'll be in like a group, and then someone who's kind of new to the game will come in and post like, want to buy like this impossible to find thing. And it's like,
Right.
no one's selling that to you, dude. It ain't gonna happen. There's like 40 dudes out here trying to get that same knife who have been at it for 3 or 4 years. It's like, I want to buy that too, and I appreciate your enthusiasm, but
and then the added little at the end, they'll say have 125 in PayPal.
Right, PayPal loaded. It's like, dude, money won't buy that knife. It's like, you need another rare knife to get that knife.
Oh, they're talking about Bees. Bees had his first live stream last night, and I think it went off like gangbusters. I had a good time, and I know several of the guys that are in the chat here were there. So congratulations to you, Mr. Bees, on a very successful first live stream. I think you kicked ass and took a few names, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Congrats, man. It's always good to get that first one under your belt. It'll just get easier and more natural each and every time.
Exactly, and I think I'm hoping he picks up that Primetime Friday spot like permanently, because we've been needing somebody right there on that 8 to 8:15 time slot. What's it, Casey? I was at your first live and it was good. What are you talking about, man? I think you did awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. As we're talking about what we're talking about, there's a collector dude I've known since I started into slip joints, and he wrote me a message. Hey, man, how's it going? You still sitting on that, XYZ knife? And it's like, that's how it goes down. It goes down in private message inboxes. It goes down and like, yo, who's got that thing? Do you know what he's looking for? Like, it's a hustle, man. And I think we all kind of appreciate that to a certain degree. Like, at some point, it's like, I'm not willing to like put forth the effort for this, and I think that's what keeps some guys out of GEC is like, you just can't get one, anymore. Like you can't, barely can you just buy one, even a new release. So it's like, what do I got to do to get one of these things? Like, I have to work at it. It's like, oh, forget it. Like, at least you can go buy a production Spyderco, right? Now you might not get the sprint run and the dope steel. You got to hustle for that one, but at least you can go get a PM2 or whatever, right? Yeah. Or something. You can get the base model. But with GEC anymore, you can't get shit unless you're willing to hustle for it. And some people aren't willing to work. But if you're willing to kind of dive in and hit the learning curve and join the groups, be a part of the community, it's infecting and it is fun.
Oh yeah, and you'll meet some great friends. I mean, you start out just kind of rubbing elbows to try and find what you're looking for, and before you know it, you're talking to these guys on a daily basis, and not just about what you're looking for or what they're looking for. You just sit and chat. They'll shoot them a message, hey, how's your day going, man? And next thing you know, you're talking about their kid just had their first dance recital or something. It's pretty cool.
Yep. And that's when it's like, it's really more, it's about more than the knives. It's not just about the knives. It's like the knives brought me into a place where I get to meet like-minded people. And that's what really keeps you there. You know what I mean? Like, you look forward to talking to your boys more than you look forward to buying that next knife. I mean, it's all part of it. But like those relationships, like talking about that knife with your boys is not the same as if you're just sitting there by yourself with that knife and no one to kind of share that experience with,
Exactly. Jigsaw asked, because Bees was presented with the Dolica last night. Well, I think he had it for a minute, but he unboxed it last night on the live stream, and of course it came with the custom thumb stud. And I think ProX wants no, yeah, ProX wants to borrow it to because his porch light's loose, so that custom thumb stud looks oddly like like it came off a porch light. Marco, what's happening, buddy? Good to see you, man, my friend. And Jason wants to know if you've yelled at anybody about the government today.
Yeah,
Forrest
yeah,
said he
Forrest.
tries not to get into GEC knives. He has enough vices already.
I know, man. When I got into GEC knives, like I gave up drinking, and you got like, us addicts, we can't shake addiction necessarily. We just find new places to channel it. You know what I mean? And so like partying, I gave up partying, and I ended up just impulsively buying knives. So I can at least say that I have something to show for it now, where in the past, the only thing I had to show for it was an empty wallet and a headache and maybe
Yeah.
some blank tape upstairs that a few hours I just don't remember. Like, what do we do? But
Well,
now I got something to show for it.
every once in a while you'll get a new girlfriend that you don't like.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
What's happening, Mark Grant? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, Casey, I know it was I remember watching the cell phone with no tripod live stream, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Had a good time. So don't be so hard on yourself, my friend.
Jeremy says there are times I think a drug addiction is cheaper than the EDC hobby. Like that's potentially true, sometimes you can spend a lot of money in a short period of time on the web.
Yes. Forrest quit smoking cigarettes and started collecting watches. And I've run into some people that have all but given up eating for their hobby.
Right. It's like ramen, I can handle that for 3 months, no fucking problem.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, me, I can't feed my kid ramen every day. I couldn't justify that, but yeah, I'll eat the heck out of some ramen and put that my portion of the grocery money aside.
That's awesome.
And she's over there like, Dad, I eat ramen all the time. What are you talking about? Shut up, kid. You're not supposed to tell him.
It's like, is the ramen ready, Dad?
Ding! Did the timer go off?
Right. I don't want to eat it dry again, Dad. Did you pay the water bill?
Just sprinkle the seasoning on it. It's like potato chips. Crunch it up. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
KC will be carrying your bull nose tomorrow. Dude, you have spoiled him. He's getting the big head, I think, Ben. I think he started to think of them as his knives. I mean, he knows he has to give them back, but while they're in his possession, he kind of gets that little familiarity with them, and I think he's kind of big pimping all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's what I want, though. I want him to feel the power. You know what I mean? And it's like, what's cool about that situation is, they're like we talked about, they're not easy to get. Like, when do you get to sample like 4 different patterns at the same time from different eras of manufacturing? It's like really like a nice buffet. And I'm happy to do it. Absolutely happy to do it. He's a nice dude, Casey. He came up to my table at Blade Show and filmed a video of my whole presentation, and I didn't ask him to do that. He did that for me and for him, and I thought that was super cool. And I wanted to thank him for that and repay him any way that I could. So sending him some knives to review, it's an easy thing for me to do because he's responsible, and I know he'll treat them right, and I know he'll appreciate them. And we get on the phone, and he takes notes and learns the details and wants to do a good job. And it's great for me because obviously it's exposure for me, but also I want to spread the slip joint love to the community. I want guys who never messed with them because it's grandpa's knife to give it a chance. And my product line makes that a little easier for everyone because it's modern materials, but with the traditional patterns, grandpa's pattern is still in there. It's just now it's titanium M390 and micarta. So yeah, dude, it's to me it's part of what this community is all about. That's Casey's gotten 2 packages, and that's not the last 2 packages he's going to get. So
Well, I think you couldn't have sent him to a better recipient. So I mean, and honestly, his Blade Show video was probably the best one that I saw of all the ones that I watched. So I feel like he probably did uh, get you some exposure.
100%. It was awesome.
Yeah,
Casey, hit me up tomorrow, and I'll walk you through those. I'm around all day.
I can just see Casey being so, because like you said, he's responsible. I can just see him being so careful, like when he opens them up, not wanting to, I don't get a single little bit of a scratch on it or. So yeah, I would trust. I would mail my kid to Casey. You know, that's how much trust I have in him to take care of my possessions. So you definitely
What's up,
did good
Lindy
there.
Lou? Good to
Lindy
see you.
Lou in the house. What up, Duke? How you doing, buddy? Oh, Casey's blushing. Yeah, man, I mean it, dude. You're a good dude. You're definitely a good one. Who did anybody else slip in unnoticed? Because these people, they be coming in through the back door. You won't see them coming. They'll just be mid conversation by the time you realize it. I know not Marco. He came in gangbusters, kicking the door in and guns a-blazing, so he didn't sneak in. And
We
yet,
got Sinister Knife Flips.
old Duke is a ninja. Speaking of ninja, I haven't seen Ninja tonight. I'm sure he'll pop in later after he cooks dinner or something. He's always cooking. Oh, but you were when you said talking about bringing the modern or the traditional patterns uh, to the market with modern materials. I've been wondering when somebody was just gonna like full on just grab the bull by the horns and go with it, because companies have kind of dabbled here and there. You've had like was it Lion Steel put out a few, but nobody's just really gone with it and just like put out several patterns and just a whole line. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. I think you're going to do very well, Ben.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I saw it, and it's just like you said, like, why hasn't someone done this yet? Like, it's missing, and it's been tested and sort of teased, but it hasn't really been like picked up and ran with. Now Mike Latham, the dude who owns collectorknives.net, he's the one who works with Lion Steel to produce a lot of those patterns, and they're great knives for the money. You get a lot of value for the money, but there was just a couple things that I wanted to do different. So I would actually have to say that he's the one who broke the ground and really kind of, prove the concept, allowing me to kind of come in and offer a similar product. But for me, I wanted to do, you saw my packaging and stuff in the videos. Like, to me, it's more than just a knife. I'm trying to deliver an experience. My whole thing is like, as a collector, that's the lens I see through. I'm not a dealer. I'm not a knife maker. I'm a collector and just an appreciator of knives. And I've handled a lot of them. And what I recognize is like, it's an emotional experience that we're seeking. We're not buying these tools specifically for logical reasons. And if anything, it's like you can't even make a logical reason why you bought some of these knives. A logical knife purchase is something that holds disposable razor blades from Home Depot for $20. Anything $100 and up is an emotional purchase. We're doing it because we like it. We're doing it because it makes us feel good. Now, is it a functional tool? Absolutely. Does it do its job? Probably better than the knife that's cheaper. But at the same time, let's be honest, we appreciate this stuff emotionally, right? And to me, that's art appreciation. Like, we're appreciating functional art, craft art. And that kind of art's been around forever. Otherwise, all tools would just be aesthetically irrelevant. Like the aesthetics would be irrelevant and it would just be all about function because we like nice stuff. So I really wanted to kind of deliver that whole art appreciation experience, not just in the knife itself, but like in the brand, in the community, in the packaging, in the marketing. Like I want it to be fun and I want you to sort of enjoy the entire experience. And I think a lot of that is not being addressed in the industry. Some brands do it, but I saw that as an opportunity to differentiate myself there as well. Not just like to do a product that's not flooded, but to do, some flavor that no one's serving up.
Exactly. Like the closest to it, I think, is GEC, but you took their game and kicked it up a notch, like, I mean, you're not just getting the tube with, the knife and the wax paper and some of them would, maybe have a pin. Like you went all out with you know, created a whole comic character and stuff and storylines and stuff. That's
Yeah.
killer.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I mean, I love what Great Eastern Cutlery does. Like I love that brand. And just to be able to take cues from what they're doing to me is awesome. But I think there's some stuff that they don't do. And I'm not trying to be critical, but I just see it from an outsider looking in. And they frankly don't have to do some of that stuff. Like they sell every single thing that they make. And I saw it firsthand. They're tucked away in a very small community in the corner of the country, and they're eyes down making knives, but they don't necessarily have the best community outreach. And they don't market hardly at all. They don't go to shows. They don't interact with the customer a whole lot. And I like to do that stuff. I like to interact with the customer. Guys, my phone is open all the time. My email, like you reach out to me, you're going to talk to me. I enjoy that. I think the most fun I ever had in my life was at the Blade Show. Like that was so freaking cool. And I don't think that sort of allure is ever going to wear off for me. I felt like a kid. So that's where I want to try to differentiate myself, not just in the product. To me, it's got to be more than the product. You're buying more than the product. You're buying an experience. You're buying trust in a brand, and and I'm available to you. So if you want to support me, you're going to get support back from me.
Yeah, and that's important, and that goes a long way with any product, but especially in this community when you want to know that you can trust the product, and if for any reason something happens to go wrong, when you know that they're going to make good on it, you've got nothing to worry about. You're going to buy that product over and over and over. It looks like the other half of Miss Lindy Lou is in here. What's up, Richie B? And speaking of Ninja, he did sneak in very stealthy like. And Drill Sergeant 666, no, I don't speak Chinese. If you're talking to me, I don't. Oh, don't.
Is that
just
spam
don't even,
or what is it?
Yeah, don't even worry about it. It'll go away. Let's see. Somebody else had come in before Drill Sergeant from the Devil started his little whatever the heck. Shane Gable says he's on the road driving, should be home in 15 minutes, guys, if y'all were worried about him. And honestly, if you just let those go, they'll go away. It's for some reason, when you delete them, they just keep coming back. No, I don't speak English at all, Casey. I barely speak gibberish.
Someone asked when the knives are going to be available. So Brandon, right now, knives should start selling next summer. Now, how they're going to roll out, I'm still working through all that. I'm not going to be able to have all the knives available at once. And that's not how I want to do it anyway. And even if I did want to do it that way, you can't do it that way. Not with like these boutique OEMs. So my plan is to roll them out one model per time per month, and roll through the catalog. Now, I'll figure out the order, but I'm not going to disclose the order because I got to keep people, anticipating things a little bit. But nonetheless, tentatively speaking, at this time, my plan is starting next summer to start rolling them out one knife at a time per month.
And that actually works better for the collector if you think about it, because and it also goes along with the whole comic book theme. It's like you're getting a new issue every month, But so you buy one this month, you've got a whole another month to save up for the next one. You're not like panicking like, oh man, they're all out. I got to buy them all before they're gone. And so I don't know. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and honestly, got the inspiration for that from Great Eastern. That's how they do it. They make one model at a time. They release it. They roll into the next one. They don't tell you what's coming. They tell you what's coming next, but they don't tell you beyond that. And I love that. It's awesome. Like, on one hand, it's frustrating. Like, shit, when are they going to make that number 85 again? Like, it's been fucking 3 years. But at the same time, it's like, don't tell me what you're making for the next 5 knives. I don't want to know. I like getting surprised. So
exactly.
So
What's up, Tina Turner? Yeah, but see, with me, I know that's the greatest name ever.
That's awesome.
What I would hate is like you look at the production schedule, like GEC's production schedule, and of course, every time I look, the one that's actually in production is not the one that I want. I'm like, I don't want that. That's not what I'm worried about. Come on, make good with the good stuff. Come on, like I'm not worried about this, whatever the crap that is. Pattern. I'm looking for like what was it? The bullet end jack came out. I thought that would never freaking release. And it finally did, and I missed out, but I got lucky because one of the groups I was in, somehow the guy got a hold of like 50 or 100 and put the word out and was like, hey, say in and you can get one of these. You just pay normal price. He didn't charge any extra for them. And so like 50 to 100 people got extra people got knives that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to get.
Nice. Very cool.
What in the, oh, Chris Wolf speaking Pig Latin. Yoda? Ode? S-J-L-E-A Ode. I got to go to Google Translate real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I can't follow you there.
What's the last GEC that you picked up?
So
production wise,
I grabbed a few of them this year. I told myself I wasn't going to buy as many, but it's hard to fight the impulses. I got the green bullnose and the red bullnose. Now, I think with those, Casey's got, I sent him the green, right? I sent him the green, I think. Do you guys know Kyle Godshall? He's on Instagram, Godshall Knives. You guys should follow him or check him out if you don't know him. Super cool guy. He's the man. He's in Pennsylvania. He's in New Bethlehem. And he does like recovers. So he'll take a GEC or a case knife, break it down, put new handle material on it. And like his work is awesome. And he's getting real good. And he's been doing some work on these bull noses where he does like a bolster out of micarta, a thin stripe of micarta to separate what would be the bolster area, and then a different color micarta for the rest. So like the bulk of the handle in brown, let's say a thin stripe of black, and then maybe like the bolster area is maroon or something, like complementary colors. And so I've been eyeballing his stuff and talking to him. So whenever he's ready, I'm going to send him one of those bull noses to recover because I want to support him. I think another thing that's important in our community is like building relationships with these small businesses like River, who made me this slip, like Javi Garcia, who made all my other slips, and guys who do the recovers, and like spend your money with these guys, support them, promote them, promote them on your feeds. So part of it is to support him. Part of it is because I love his work. So sorry, I'm on a tangent there, but
no, you're good, man.
Got those two bull noses. Earlier in the year, they did the run of the number 15 again, and it's like I almost feel obligated to buy those when they come out. So I snagged the rose gold TC Barlow, the glitter gold, the amber bone, smooth amber bone, and was there another one? I feel like there was. The Osage wood. That one was my favorite of the set. The rough sawn Osage wood. That was the first time they've done a rough sawn wood TC, and it was like burnt from the rough sawing process. Like it was blackened. Damn, those are nice.
Ooh,
Then
I
they
bet that
also
was
did
beautiful.
beautiful. And then they must have had enough liners and springs and blades left over because they did the Cocobolo boy's knife. And that was the most beautiful Cocobolo wood I have ever seen in my life. That stuff had it had like stripes in it, and it was like blonde and dark brown and red. And it was like, where the hell did you guys get that Cocobolo wood? Because that's the most beautiful Cocobolo wood I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know where they source their materials from, but they get some of the most beautiful woods, bones, stag. Like, I mean, it's just gorgeous. And then they know, of course, they know how to work with it. So to bring out the natural beauty of their materials.
And if I was a material supplier and I saw like the work that Great Eastern did with my materials, I'd make sure they get the best of everything. You know what I mean? I'd like
Yep.
set aside, you get like a crazy piece of wood. It's like that's going to GEC because they're putting it to work. Like they're doing some, even if I charge them less, it's just you're taking my material and making it look so good. Like you're getting the best pieces. And I don't doubt that that happens to some degree. Like I've heard they get the best stag. Like they get the pick of the litter on their stag. So, I don't know that for a fact, but I don't doubt it because you see the stag they get and it's sick.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. The I think the only Osage wood I'd seen from them is, I mean, it wasn't jigged or cut it. It was just smooth. But I mean, even that's just gorgeous. Like just a gorgeous color and the grain structure, beautiful.
Now they've just released that 2 blade trapper with the Remington trademark on it and the bullet shield. You see those?
I haven't seen those. No.
Yep. So let's see. What do I trying to think of the best way to explain this? So it's a big knife. It's at least 4 inches closed. It's thick. It's got 2 full-size blades on it, a drop point, and a spay. If I'm not mistaken, someone correct me if I'm wrong. And it was Smoky Mountain Knife Works that contacted Remington, who, if you guys don't know, Remington gone through or still going through a bankruptcy. And they licensed, I don't think they bought the trademark. I think they licensed the trademark, but they licensed the trademark so that they could make a run of the Remington bullet knives and use the Remington trademark. Because that's like a Remington pattern from back in the day.
Right.
And it allows them to use the bullet shield. It allows them to use the Remington brand on the edge. And I think that knife has flush joints. So when it's closed and you look down at the top of it, the tang is flush with the tops of the bolsters. That is like such an awesome touch. And so those just came out, I think, a couple days ago, and Smoky Mountain had a bunch of them. And the CEO from Smoky Mountain jumped in the Great Eastern Cutlery Club group, made a post, and was answering questions and stuff. And, people were like amazed that the drop was up for 17 minutes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's still up. Someone's got to check. But it was up there for a lot longer than previous drops. And I think, number one, they made a lot of them. And so, to try to get them out there. And number two, that might not be for everybody because it's big. But it is really, really cool. And I had to sort of curb my impulses and not buy that one. Now, I know what Smoky Mountain said was they got a bunch, but they also distributed some to other dealers so that they wouldn't be the exclusive seller of it. And they had minimum advertised pricing on it. So, like, no one could undercut someone else and stuff. So it just seemed like a really cool kind of community project. Great Eastern, Smoky Mountain, and then them getting other dealers involved. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. They did a fantastic job with it. And the flush joints that you're talking about, I just recently saw those for the first time. I mean, it hasn't been too awful long. And I was like, I need something with that. Like that's crazy looking. I mean, it just makes it looks so clean. Like,
So clean.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty daggum nice, and that's cool with them getting the license to use the Remington, because I mean, it looks like the old Remington knives like you would buy at Walmart or whatever, with their script on the blade and that bullet shield. Pretty daggum fantastic.
Yep. And if someone doesn't buy that license, that trademark, who knows if they'd ever make another run of that knife. So that's where smoking, I mean, obviously they see a business opportunity, but I think it was rooted in wanting to do something good for the community and have a good project. Like those projects take extra effort. Contacting Remington while they're in the middle of a bankruptcy, I guarantee you that was a pain in the ass. How many lawyers and judges did that have to go through to get approval? It's not like it's just calling a small businessman and saying, hey, let's do this deal. It's like you're dealing with some gigantic corporation that's tied up in the courts. So I can't imagine that was easy, and I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, exactly. And which didn't they recently do something similar with Queen?
Now with Queen, it's a little bit of a different story. Queen went bankrupt, and they sold their trademark as part of their liquidation.
So no
So that
lawyers
went,
involved, really.
no lawyers. Yeah, that was a forced liquidation of their assets to pay off creditors, and that went for auction, and so that went to the highest bidder.
Oh, okay. Todd Carr was asking, he wants to know if you are a fan of Finch knives.
A huge fan. I think his stuff is awesome. I love his design aesthetic, and it's obviously in the traditional pond, so to speak. Yeah, I think his stuff is awesome. And in fact, I'm going to order a couple this weekend to check them out because I have had a chance to actually handle one, but I've been desiring to do that. And so I don't know if you guys ever shop at C. Risner Cutlery. I think it's traditionalpocketknives.com. Well, the dude who runs that, his name's Austin, and you couldn't meet a cooler guy. Austin is the man. He's been super supportive of my project from day one, asking nothing in return, not trying to necessarily earn my business, just loves traditional knives. And, that's what a great community. Like I've said it 100 times, but I mean it. And so anyway, I've mentioned that because Austin carries Finch's knife. And so if you guys want to check out Finch or support another slip joint guy or another knife guy, don't hesitate to buy from Austin's website. Now, he doesn't always have like the cheapest prices on the GEC stuff. I think he charges MSRP. It's not like he's gouging. Some other dealers charge below MSRP, but man, that guy runs that website and has a day job. It's not like he's, just sitting back getting rich on a little bit of extra points on GEC. So I don't want anyone to think that guy's not a good dude. He's an awesome dude. He's been super supportive, and I encourage you guys to support him and support Finch, because Finch is a dude like me, just having a knife brand for the love of the game. So yeah, Finch has got. I love Finch.
No, I'm pretty sure Austin's got his own modern take on a traditional knife coming out sometime in the future.
Yep, he's got the Ohio River Jack.
Yep.
And he lives in Ohio, and it's a sunfish pattern. It's a two blade, and it's got similar like design cues that mine do. Integral bolster, titanium fluted, micarta handle, M390. But aside from that, like it's in its own style, and I'm super excited for him to get that project underway. I know he'll have his prototype soon, and I can't wait to see him.
Oh yeah, for sure. I saw like a 3D rendering, I think, of it, and it looked pretty sweet. And you were talking about Finch knives. So my original just favorite traditional pattern was always the Trapper, because that was like the first knife I owned. It was my dad's old case Trapper when I was like 6 or 7. When he bought a new one, he gave me his old one, and that's what I learned on. And that was pretty much that. And seeing, buck hunting knives and stuff were all I knew about knives as a child. So the Trapper was like, I mean, it's been just my favorite pattern forever. And then on top of that, like later on, I really fell in love with the sodbuster pattern. So that Chernobyl ant that Finch is coming out with, man, oh man, that thing
Yeah,
is
you'll be getting
sweet
that
looking.
one.
Oh yeah,
You'll be getting that one, huh?
for sure. I mean, and it really does. It looks like a sodbuster with a flipper on it.
Marco, what was my total expense to start my company? Well, that tab is still being racked up, my friend. um, you know, it's in the tens of thousands of dollars, and that's exclusive of the deposit I'll have to make to start production. So, I'm not going to discuss specifically what that is. And to be honest with you, I have not added it up yet because it's like, oh my gosh, how much have I spent before I even bring in a single dime? I'm just spending what I need to spend to do it right. And I have the resources to do that at this time. And I know I've got to make a large deposit for my first production run. Do I have any backers? No, not at this time. I don't have any partners. That allows me to be in total control and not have any adversity with differing opinions on how to run the company. I've had other businesses, or I still have other businesses, and everything I've ever done has been with partners. It's good for some reasons, but it also has its specific sets of challenges. And I told myself when I was doing this that if I can manage to do this without partners, that's what I prefer. Now, I'm not saying I'll never have a partner. Like, that would be foolish to say because you can't control things 100% all the time. At some point, will I need a financial backer that doesn't have control? Like, there's those type of agreements you can make, maybe. But you're at that point giving equity in your company to somebody in exchange for their capital. And I'm not looking to do that yet, to be completely honest with you. Like, sometimes you get presented with opportunities to grow beyond where you thought you were going to go. And it takes that type of investment to do that. But at this time in the startup phase, I'm comfortable with the risk. I'm willing to fail, but we'll do everything I can not to. And have made arrangements with other businesses and selling other assets to do this because frankly, I want this more than I've wanted anything in my life. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. As of right now, that's my own investment, my own time, effort, and energy.
Yeah, that was a good question. That was a really good answer because you don't really think about all that's involved when you just think of simple terms: money spent, money earned. You don't think about all the variables that go into that. And if anybody else has questions for Ben, I'm sure he'd be more than happy to field those because I'm sure you guys are got to be curious about everything that he's got coming up, and I'm sure he would love to let you know because the more you guys know, the more informed you are, the better purchasing decisions you can make. And besides that, I think if it was me, I would just love talking about the knives I have coming out. So
absolutely. I have never been accused of not talking. So I enjoy it. Yeah. If you guys have any questions for me, you let me know. I'm happy to answer them. If you don't want to have dialogue here on the show, but you want to pick my brain on the side, send me an email, support@jackwolfknives.com, and I'll get back to you as fast as I can. And I'm happy to spend as much time on the phone with anybody at any time. It really is a pleasure for me to have this opportunity, not just to have this business, but to build these relationships with you guys. It's like, I mentioned it before, I turned 40 and you start looking backwards 40 years and then you look forward. What are the next 40 going to be like? Well, to me, I want it to be rich in relationships and doing things that I enjoy and, valuing things maybe I didn't value as much in my first 40 years. So it's like time with my family, time with my friends, being involved in businesses and hobbies that I really enjoy, and just trying to make sure that, the next 40 years are going to be gone in a blink. Like, that's how the last 10 were. And everybody you talk to who's 60, 70, or 80 tells you the same thing. Like, holy shit, where'd the time go? So it's like, if it's going to be gone in a blink, man, I want to really enjoy it. So a big part of that is you guys, the community, getting to know you guys, giving you guys a product that you really love. That's what's going to give me the most satisfaction, is delivering a product that you guys love.
That sounds Grumpy Grunt. Dude, I have the most trouble with his name. For some reason, I want to call him like Grumpy Gus or Grumpy, anything but Grumpy Grunt. It's just a tongue twister. But what's up, Grumpy Grunt? It's good to see you, my friend. And Joe is also in the house, our resident leather expert. So it's definitely good to see you. And I think you've had a few questions roll in there, Ben.
Yeah. So I think the first one's Pro X. Do you have any future plans to mix modern style in the mix? Yes, I do. And I've already got one that I've designed that sort of starts to blend modern styling, but still rooted in traditional manner. So once I start to kind of churn through a lot of my favorite traditional patterns, I'm going to start to like layer in some modern influence into the traditional patterns, whether that's in the handle or in the blade or in both. So that's kind of like where my head's at with that. And then I have not yet sat down and tried to draw what I would call a modern folder, whether it's a slip joint or a locking knife. And because I'm not ready to like go there yet with my design. But I want this to be a generational business. So certainly down the road, that's something I would like to do and see what I'm capable of in that genre. So hopefully that answers your question. And then let's see what else. All the knives on your site sold custom one-off pieces. Last Ranger. So on my site right now, I just have photography of prototypes, and that's all I have in my possession. So the knives are being manufactured by a third party. I do the design and I provide the design to the factory. They work with me to perfect the design. They send me a prototype. I approve the prototype or suggest changes to the prototypes. Ultimately, once prototypes are approved, you make a deposit for a production batch. And so I'm still in that prototype approval process right now. Because I have prototypes, I'm able to photograph them and have them on the website. I've displayed them at Blade Show. I'll display them at the USN Gathering. I'll display them at Blade Show West. I'll display them at ICCE. I think that's in January. Was that when that was? I can't remember. And then no, I'm sorry. That was in March. And then I'll display them again at Blade Show next year, which I already paid for a table, so I'm going. And then as far as production, well, originally that was supposed to happen in the fourth quarter of this year, but due to production delays that are affecting the entire industry, I'm now being told next summer. So on the website, knives are all shown as sold out. That's because I've never had anything to sell. And the only way I can list them on the Shopify store is you have to create the product, put in a quantity of 0. And so it will automatically default to being sold out. It's a little misleading, unfortunately. I'll get questions about that from time to time, but I don't really have a better way to do it. I put a note at the top that says in prototype phase coming summer 2022, but you don't always notice that kind of up there at the top. So I don't have custom one-off pieces. I've had a lot of people want to buy my prototypes. I can't sell them because I use them. I use them to look at. I'll use them to send out to guys like John, guys like KC, to help promote the line once we get a little closer down the road. So I've been flattered by people wanting to buy them, but I need them for promotional purposes and also for analyzing, also to have on the table at the shows. So once I have inventory next year, I'll make an announcement to the newsletter at the bottom of jackwolfknives.com of a date and time where they'll become available. They'll be available on my website. They'll also be available at dealers. I'm still sort of working through what ratio of knives of my production run will go to dealers and will be sold on my site. But you can rest assured that you're going to pay the same price wherever you get them. There's not going to be where this guy's running sales over here and undercutting this dealer over here, or, this guy gets them first and this guy, gets them later. I'm trying to be as equitable as I can with all my dealer partners. There's the perfect world of what I want, and then there will be the reality. as far as like when they come to me and how I have to distribute them and stuff like that. But ultimately, they will be available once I receive them. You'll be able to get them from me direct. You'll be able to get them from some of the major dealers you're very well familiar with. One thing I was super blessed with, if I can tangent again, is the response from the dealers at the Blade Show was like, holy crap, like you guys love these things and you guys honestly want to sell them. And I'm totally flattered because you look around this show and there's a million awesome knives for sale. And I thought I was going to have to like be begging and insisting to get these things sold through some of the dealer network. But I've had a lot of great support from some of the biggest names in the business. So they're a good way for me to spread the brand. They have a much bigger reach than I do. I mean, I can spend all day networking with you guys and on Instagram and Facebook, and it will take me years to have the reach that those guys already have. So they're a big asset for me. They're a big asset for the community. And so the knives will be available for me and them once I get them. Let me scroll down here. Did I miss some?
There was one from.
Okay.
From Dark Gravity.
Let me go back. My chat just jumped. There's been a lot. Are you going to produce enough to meet demand? Oh man, that's a great question. Wait, hold on. I think let me get back to that because there's another one I missed. There was Todd Carr. I know all the new ones are slip joints that are coming. Any plans on traditional locking versions in the future? Yes. So in two ways, like a lockback. If the manufacturer can produce a lockback, then I'd love to have a lockback. And, for anyone who's not familiar with that, think of like some of the Spyderco knives, like the Stretch or the Delica's a lockback, right? And some of the others. And like the traditional lockback, everybody knows would be the Buck 110. So that type of locking mechanism. But what I really want to do down the road is use my patterns to design like frame locks or bolster locks or liner locks, like whatever makes the most sense to do that. And whether they'll have flippers or thumb studs or how I'll do that, TBD. But I think that would really help round out my product line, would be to have traditionally inspired slip joints, traditionally inspired locking knives, and lockbacks, traditionally inspired lockbacks. And also fixed blades. Like I'm chomping at the bit to draw some fixed blades. I see so many good ones inside my mind, and they're a lot easier to design, at least in CAD, than a knife with lock geometry. So stay tuned for that. But the only way I'm going to get there is if I'm successful coming out of the ground. So I'm praying for that first and foremost. I could have all the big plans in the world, but I gotta be successful out of the gate to keep on going down the road. So.
Well, I don't see any problem with that at all. The interest in your knives is like phenomenal. So
Marco Polo, you seem to have a good business model, work-life balance, most importantly, have fun making a living. I agree, man. I've, had some jobs and opportunities in the past that were not fun. And you got to do what you got to do, right? Like we don't all love every job we have. Like that's not realistic. And ultimately we got to show up every day, get work done, and put food on the table. But if you find yourself in a position to perhaps pivot and take a risk to do something you love, what I've found so far in this journey is that it really keeps you going every day because like you want to do it, and there's no dread. There's a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety sometimes, or, second guessing yourself. And that's kind of par for the course with an entrepreneurial pursuit. But ultimately it's like the desire to be successful and actually have this, that is so rewarding and been super cool. And that's what's keeping me going. And it is fun. Casey, thank you, man. You're an awesome dude too. If you ever need someone to put sunblock on your head, you know who's going to do that for you. Am I going to produce enough to meet demand? Dark Gravity. I don't know. I don't know what the demand is. Obviously, my fear is I'm going to produce too many. and they don't sell. And then people like, why aren't those selling? Well, maybe they suck, and so I'm not going to buy one, right? Like, oh no, that would not be good. On the other hand, like let's say you produce X amount and they sell out in a blink. Well, that's great, but it leaves some people hanging and pissed off, so that's like not necessarily good. So what I hope is that I at least have an opportunity to try to figure out where the sweet spot is. And the only way you're going to do that is by having routine sales over time to kind of get a measure of like how you're performing in the market. And the only way that's going to happen is if people actually like the product. So I don't know. I don't want to make too many. I don't want to make too few. I think realistically, like let's just say that I am successful to the point where I'm able to order more than I did the first time around. Well, eventually you're going to reach capacity limitations with manufacturer. and that may just be an issue I have. Now, I think that's a Cadillac problem, so to speak. I'd love to have that problem. Like, man, I could sell 2,000 of these and I can only make 500. Well, that's better than like, shit, I made 500 and I only sold 50. Like, now what do I do? That's like a huge problem. So that is to be determined. I'll make as many in the beginning as I can afford and that I think is reasonable, and then I'll go from there. Let's see here.
We've had a couple of people come in. I think Jen Brooke came in. What's up, Jen? How was the concert last night?
Hey, Jen, what concert did you go to? And like, did you have to wear masks and all that, or were you guys mask free? I'm curious with concerts and stuff.
That is a good question. She went to the Alanis Morissette.
Oh, nice.
Which I didn't even know she was still touring or doing anything like that. That's blast from the past. Oh, Lone Wolf came in. What's up, Lone Wolf? How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I think I got all the questions. I just watched on, speaking of, sorry, I'll real tangent here, but you mentioned Alanis Morissette. I watched on, I think it was on HBO Max. Like, I rarely ever watch TV. I don't ever watch TV, but I don't know why I sat down to watch some TV, and I opened up HBO Max, and they had like a special about Woodstock 99. Anybody see that? And it was a little bit politically biased, perhaps, but still interesting. So if anybody's seen that, I'm curious what y'all thought about that. And I don't know if like you remember, but Woodstock 99 was a little bit of a shit show.
Was that the one that Limp Bizkit like tore down just about? Yeah, I remember that.
It was like,
Lefty. What's up, Kevy Poo?
Yeah, what up, Kevin? So they had it in New York. It was like insane heat, and they were charging like $4 for water, which at the time was a lot. And people were getting hot and bothered, and there was like a lot of new metal rock bands in the lineup. And like by the time Limp Bizkit came on, people started going fucking berserk, and they like tore down some of the stages. And then apparently, I don't want to give away too much. I guess spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear what's coming up, mute me. But there was like a group that was handing out candles to commemorate victims of like gun violence, because this was right after Columbine. And candles and matches. Like, don't give a bunch of matches to a bunch of dudes that have been baking in the sun for 4 days, who are like starting to slip into Lord of the Flies territory. So like they burned that sucker down, man. They were like lighting stages on fire and looting like supply trucks and stuff.
Well, I think the best part was the point where somebody took, I think it was like a piece of scaffolding that they had tore off or something, and they surfed like Fred Durst through the crowd on it.
Yep. And they had like Red Hot Chili Peppers playing, and the guy came out and told Anthony Kiedis to try to calm the crowd down. And so they like looked around and like, guys, should we do it? Please, like, yeah. And so they played Light My Fire by Jimi Hendrix and just like getting the crowd all wild up. It was hilarious, man. What a time.
Yeah, but I think I mentioned Fred Durst got in like some sort of trouble for like like inciting riots because he was like encouraging them or whatever. So I don't know if
Well, that's like,
anything ever came of it.
they MTV like had a part in really kind of painting that as like a, him as a bad guy, and that whole thing is a bad experience at the time. But it's like, what do you expect from Fred Durst? Like, you put him, he's the biggest band at the time, and his hit song is called Break Stuff. So like, what, do you want him to come out and like sing gospel music? Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, you sowed the seeds and then brought the match in, or like you poured gas on it and then brought the match in. Like, what do you expect? So it's just interesting. And they had Alanis Morissette and I think Sheryl Crow on the bill, and they didn't exactly fit like the rest of the lineup at that thing, and that's what reminded me of it. But yeah, it was an interesting. If like you guys remember that, if you're around my age or older or whatever, then you remember when that all went down. It's kind of cool to watch that.
Yeah, Jen said masks weren't required, but some people had them on. Word Girl 3 said Dead and Company played at City Field last night. Lots of masks. Great show. I bet so. That would be awesome. Oh, Marco said Fish can't play at Red Rocks. I was at that show. I don't know. I'm not a big Fish fan, so I don't know much about that. Yeah, Shane. After seeing the last documentary I saw on it, I kind of regretted missing Woodstock '99 too, because it would have been fun just for the memories. Even if you didn't like anybody that played there, it would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, part of me wanted to be there, and part of me was glad I wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, people were just. Oh, another thing was they didn't have enough like bathrooms and or showers, and so all that stuff was overflowing, and people were tipping them over, and there was just like this mud, but it wasn't mud. It was like sewage, and
It was
people were
poop
like
mud.
rolling around in it and like covering themselves in it. And it's like, man, I probably would have thought this riot was fun when I was probably 18 or 19 when that happened. I was born in 80. But right now I'm like, you can't get me anywhere close enough to that. You can't pay me $1 million to go roll around in that mud. Forget it.
No.
Too old for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure they had some like heat exhaustion like type emergencies, because I've been at like little festivals they had in Atlanta, Music Midtown. One year I went, it was probably, I think it was the same year, it was 99 or 90. Yeah, it was 99. And like several people in front of me, which I don't think it was purely heat induced. I think there were other variables involved with why they fell out, but I mean, they were just falling out left and right. And like one girl was like laying on the ground twitching, and her friends just stood there and watched her. And I was like, y'all gonna like get her help or what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that stuff, it gets dangerous. Throughout the episode, they're weaving the story of someone who was there. And at the end of the story, you find out the dude died from heat exhaustion. He went to like the Metallica stages in the front row, and his friends were looking for him and everything. And yep, they found out next day he died from probably hyperthermia, But,
Dang.
You're going to push your way up to the front of a stage after 3 days of baking in the heat to see Metallica. Like, you better make sure you've had some water, because you might not come back from that. That's just what that is. So someone asked, what manufacturer am I using? Can I disclose? It's Riot is the manufacturer of my prototypes and of the production run. Forrest, I will be buying one of your knives as soon as I can. Thank you very much for the support. It means everything to me. Thank you. I cannot wait for you to get one and tell me what you think. Let's see what else. Everybody's saying what's up to Lefty. Kevin's the man.
Don't let him hear that, though.
He knows it. So Jason's talking about a psychedelic modern soul band. Dude, that sounds cool. I'll have to check them out. Monophonics. That sounds cool. I love all kinds of music. I pretty much listen to music all day long, every day. I can't get enough.
Same. Yeah, that Monophonics does sound good. I know there was a question down here for you, but I know one of my favorite bands here lately has been Pigeons Playing Ping Pong. I don't know if you've listened to them or if you're even into that type of music, but they're kind of jam band-y, but they got a real funk feel to them. They're awesome.
Cool. I got to check them out. You know, I've been, gosh, for like the last probably 2 or 3 years, I've just been stuck in the 60s and 70s. I just, you know, music was just so freaking good back then, and everything was done on instruments. And like a lot of guys fought really hard to get their music published and stuff. And I'm just like locked in that 20-year period. Sometimes I trickle into the 80s and 90s to get a little nostalgia when I grew up, or if I get in a hip hop mood, I'll listen to, you know, hip hop from the 80s and 90s. But for the last like probably 2 or 3 years, I've just been stuck in the 60s and 70s, classic rock, even like folk music when I need things to sort of like be a little more chill, you know, like
Yeah.
when I don't want to hear loud guitars and stuff. I just love that stuff, man. I'm like turning into my folks.
It was inevitable, man.
Inevitable.
Oh, Greg Wilson asked if you have any plans to do ballet songs. Or wait,
Ballad
yeah, would
songs.
you ever consider ballet songs?
You know, I have basically no experience with those. So I'm not saying no, but it'd probably be a project a little further down the line. Now, someone correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I think there's like limitations on importing ballad songs, like restrictions. I know there's restrictions on importing switchblades. Like I think what some companies do is they'll import like some of the parts and then fully assemble stateside, or like they'll bring in the handles and then they'll provide the blades stateside. And if I'm wrong about that, someone correct me. But that may be a small challenge if that is in fact a restriction. If I could find someone to make them domestically, that would probably be easier. Yeah, Jason, let me stand next to your fire. It was a Jimi Hendrix song they played. Yeah, light my fire as the doors. Good call.
Jason's on it as far as music goes. Hey, I don't think I
No
said
doubt.
hey to Shane. What's up, Shane O? Good to see you, Shane Gables. As well as Sobix, our good brother Scott's in the house. And I wanted to thank Jeremy and the guys for doing such an awesome job with the links out there, man. Kicking ass at promoting like the other YouTube channels, putting their links in there for people to check out. I appreciate that because they know how I feel about giving everybody equal opportunity to get their links out there, and they're more than welcome to post in any of my chats. I appreciate Jeremy and the guys doing that.
Good looking out, fellas.
Kicking ass out there, guys.
It's a team effort, man. We all support each other. We're all going to do better. So I like that. Shane, I appreciate the compliment, man. It means a lot to me. The community means a lot to me. And I think that being personally involved is, frankly, you should be personally involved, right? If you're going to offer a product to the community and you're going to give to the community in that manner, you got to extend yourself. At least I think so. It's important to me. So I appreciate that compliment. I really do.
Oh,
1,800 subs, Casey. Dang, man.
Yes, sir.
Casey, you're gonna have
Congratulations,
10,000 subs before we know it. I know you are, because your content your quality is excellent, and you do your research and everything's thoughtful and honest. And I see you're going up there, bud, and we're on for the ride. I'm just glad to be a part of the ride with you.
Definitely. That I knew the first time I watched Casey's channel, he was going places. Because, dude, I used to, and I still do if I have time. Like if I'm piddling around the house, I just put his videos on in the background and just listen to him because that's like he's so zen. Like it's just real relaxing and chill. He's like one of those like a little zen fountain or whatever. Very soothing.
Let's see.
Him and Gary's the same way. Zach's in the house. What's up, Zach? Good to see you, Zach, man.
Let's see here. I'm old. I dug metal and industrial from the 80s. Yeah, sometimes I get in a 80s metal vibe. I've listened to like the Appetite for Destruction album probably 100 million times.
That one, along with it's not metal, but the Pearl Jam 10, I wore that one out. I probably wore several copies of that one out back in
You
the
know, it's
day.
kind of, it's funny you say that because it's kind of nice that we don't actually wear out our media anymore. Like, how many you used to drive around in the car and have like a jewel case full of CDs, like your Case Logic case or whatever. And like your boys would be in the car with you, and all of a sudden you'd flip through that case, like, where the hell did that CD go? It's like, you fucker, you took it, or like you forgot you traded it to someone. So there's that. And then there's like, you flip it over and it looks like your cat got at it, it's scratched as shit, and then you put it in and it won't play, and you're like, like doing this. And it's like, those days are basically over, and I don't necessarily miss it.
Well, I'll do you one better because I'm of the era where you would get in your car and find your cassette tapes like melted because it had gotten so hot, or you'd stop working because you had played them so much, and it
Yeah, I
basically
mean,
stripped the tape out.
right. And it's like, where's a pencil? So you could be like, winding the fucking tape back up. Yeah, I think my first car had a tape deck, but as soon as I could afford it, I yanked it out and replaced it with like an Alpine CD player because I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. But did you ever have the deal of, I'm sure you did, right? Like, you put the tape in that has the wire coming out that you plug into the Discman, so you could play like your Discman through the tape deck. And it
Yes.
sounds like shit, but at least you could play that CD in the car. But like, you had to have that more expensive Discman with like 10 seconds of anti-skip technology in it, or else it sounded like, you couldn't hear 2 minutes of a song without it skipping 1,000 times. Man.
Yeah. Which, and see, I held out on the whole CD. I didn't own a CD, like even just a compact disc itself, much less a player, until I was in the army when I bought my first one. Because I was like, dude, they're never gonna catch on, because I remember the whole Laserdisc fiasco and how they were supposed to be the next greatest thing, and then they just kind of fizzled out. And I was like, this is the same deal. They're going just like Laserdiscs are. I'll stick to my cassette tapes. And no, they caught on pretty good.
They sure as hell did, dude. They cassette tapes didn't even last. I mean, maybe they hung on, but barely lasted 10 years after the first CD. And yeah, I mean, I grew up with tapes, but I also started buying CDs pretty early on. I just like that you could skip songs without having to hit stop, fast forward,
Yeah.
But what sucked was you couldn't make a mixtape. So like, you still had blank tapes, and you still had like your boombox with the tape with the record button and the CD slot, so you could make a mixtape. So I thought that was cool. And what totally blew my mind was when the first CD burner came out, because I was like,
Yeah.
yes, I can finally make mix CDs. And I probably made like, I don't even know how much time I spent making mix CDs, because then it was like, now I don't have to have 10 CDs to listen to these 10 songs I want. I can rip the CDs, make MP3s, and make a mix CD. And I was just like, oh my God, we have arrived.
Exactly. Dude, I think I pretty much downloaded every song that LimeWire had on it at one point. Like that was my pastime. I would sit there and just set however many songs I could set to download, and then go do something, come back and check on them. And then I'd go and I'd spend all these hours like organizing the songs into different folders and then burning them to a CD. And I was living the life, I thought.
Man, it was like really the beginning of a new era. And now, I have Spotify, which, I don't know, I mean, it's like what, 10, $15 a month or something. And it's like, can you imagine explaining to someone, go back in time to the 1960s and 70s, explaining to someone about Spotify? You know what I mean? Like, you put a tremendous, all the way through into the 80s and 90s, even, you put a tremendous effort into your music collection. You couldn't afford to buy everything. So you had to like pick and choose what you wanted. And then you go to your buddy's house, like listen to their stuff. And it's like, no, for $10 a month, which is equivalent for you is like $3 a month, You have the entire catalog of all commercially published music. It's like, what?
You have all
We're
of
spoiled.
everything.
All of
Yeah.
everything, man.
Oh, here's another good one. I was talking about Pearl Jam 10. I wore that one out. The Singles soundtrack. You remember that movie Singles?
Yeah.
The soundtrack for that movie was pretty badass. Because that was right there where right there in the like heyday of the grunge era.
There were some big hits on that soundtrack, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. The I can't remember. Was that the movie where no, that was a different movie. That I can't remember the name of it, but it was pretty risque. The other one that I'm thinking of. No, the movie Singles. Yeah, that was the one with Bridget Fonda, Matt Dillon, Cameron Crowe, and I want to see what they had on the.
Dude, that was a pretty stacked soundtrack, dude.
Yeah,
Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Chris Cornell, Smashing Pumpkins. That was pretty legit.
yeah, and that was like the heyday of that. Like all those, like those were the hit songs of the days that were of that day that were on the radio, and
That
to
was
have
like
them
the right,
all,
yeah.
dang, yeah,
It was like the right time and the right place. You know what I mean? Like this movie, the right people behind it, the right time and the right place to smash together a soundtrack. Like this is never happening again. So make sure you enjoy this because, you know, how the hell are we going to make this happen again? Like
yeah.
all
I
these
think
guys are too fucking crazy and, you know, disorganized.
exactly. I think that was like the '90s version of the Big Chill soundtrack.
Yep. JN mentioned he's focusing on movies, 70s and 90s. Dude, I've been doing the same thing. Like I said, mentioned, I don't watch TV. And if I am going to sit down, I'm going to watch a movie. And if I'm going to watch a movie, dude, it's nothing. Hold on. There's my wife. Let me just make sure she's good. You good? Okay. Sorry. So I make sure she's not, you know, flashing you guys. So we, so I want to mention a movie I've watched now like 5 or 6 times because it's so freaking good. And I don't know how I never saw it when I was a kid. My parents pretty much let me watch whatever I want, which is probably a mistake. Have you guys seen John Carpenter's The Thing? You ever see that
Yeah,
movie?
yeah,
What a freaking cool movie. That's like 1982. That movie bombed in the theater because it just was like too disturbing and made people really uncomfortable. And like E.T. came out at the same time, and everybody wanted an alien to be this like cute, you know, malevolent like thing that you could love like a puppy. Like, no, not John Carpenter's The Thing. But now it's like a cult classic, and the practical effects in that movie, I can't believe it, man. It's like how many years later, and they're still just like to be appreciated. So if anybody's not seen that, you want to see kind of an over the top, sort of claustrophobic, moody, crazy horror movie, check that one out.
there's some other mentions of soundtracks. Jody Bear's in the house. What's up, JB? Good to see you, buddy. He said that the Dazed and Confused soundtrack was awesome, and it was. It kicked ass.
Oh yeah. Anybody remember the movie Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez and who's that comedian who's in that? Who's the bad guy? The guy was in like Chicago Fire or whatever TV show. Dennis Leary's in that. Dennis
Yeah.
Leary. They had a soundtrack in that movie that was like rap and rock, and like every song was a rap group and
Yep.
a rock group together on a track. And it's like, I don't think anyone's ever done anything like that since. And that was really kind of cool to see those two communities come together for that one.
Yeah. Jason Brown had mentioned it because that was another one I had seen when I was scrolling through the chat at the soundtracks that people were mentioning. He had mentioned that one.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't see
Yeah.
that yet. Nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That was one I had that on cassette. That was one of the ones that I used to play that to fall asleep to at night. The Judgment Night soundtrack.
I need to go back and rewatch that movie because that's a good movie. That's one of those ones I need to rewatch and revisit. Let's see.
Good
Yeah,
old
force. I
Napster.
never understood restrictions on ballot song. A lot of legal restrictions on things don't make a lot of practical sense. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Well, I mean, it's just like the automatic laws that are finally being reversed. I mean, that was out of just bull crap.
Well, that's, it's super frustrating because those laws are made typically on impulse or some emotional response to something, and then it takes forever, if at all possible, to undo them. Like once those things get written down as law, you don't just get rid of it the next year. It's like I get frustrated when things are done on an emotional whim that have unintended consequences for forever. Like people end up in jail for stuff like that, and they don't deserve to be there. So it's
Exactly.
cool. Knife Rights is out there like working that angle.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's kind of like, and not to get into a political uh topic here, but like the marijuana laws, they're being reversed all over the place, but that doesn't do the people any good that went to jail on them, for charges 10 years ago, and they spent 10 years of their life in prison or whatever.
100%. And what about the fact it's still federally illegal? So it's
Right,
like
exactly.
that doesn't make any sense. It's like we've got over 20 states now with either recreational or medical programs, but we're going to have it be federally illegal so that
Yeah,
you don't even know if you're breaking the law. You are and you aren't at the same time. Or if you're trying to run a business, now you can't write off your expenses on your tax return, or you can't use a bank. It's like, get it together, guys. It's legal or it's not legal. Like, pick one. You know, they just need to figure that out. So I'm with you on that one.
is that like back in the day when they first, like California first legalized it for medical reasons? Next thing you know, you've got ATF agents raiding these. Then they're like, "Well, it's legal," but no, it's not according to the federal government. Well, how's
Right.
that even work?
Or, here's an interesting one. So I'm into firearms. I'm a big gun guy. And if you want to have if you have a medical marijuana card in your state that allows that legally, well, if you get issued that card, you're an admitted user of marijuana, and you now are not qualified from passing is not the right word. When you fill out the form 4473 to buy a gun and you mark that you're not an unlawful user of cannabis, well, you're lying. And you put yourself at legal risk by going to get that medical marijuana card and then buying a firearm. Or you'll get denied a concealed carry permit in a lot of states. They'll pull the records, see that you have a cannabis card, they won't issue you a concealed carry permit. So I don't think it's fair to people who have a legal right to do both things, but yet don't at the same time. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm underthinking it, but I don't know.
No, I agree 100%. It was funny whenever I enlisted in the military. You filling out your application and everything, and he says the recruiter says, "Be totally honest." Well, he just said, "Be totally honest," so I'm going to answer every question honestly. Got to the part where it said, "Have you ever, um, how did it say it? How did it word it? Have you ever used marijuana or something like that?" Anyway, I put yes, and he's reading down through my application, and he scribbles it out and puts initials and hands it back to me. He's like, "Answer that question again." I was like, "Well, I put yes. You said to answer it honestly." He said, "Well, he said, right, no, and if anybody asks, just tell them, oh, I read the question wrong and wrote the wrong answer." I was like, "Okay."
Yep. Last Ranger
Nobody
says,
is in the house.
"Oh, what's up, nobody?" Last Ranger mentions the movie They Live. Seen that one a bunch. That's another John Carpenter classic. The next Carpenter movie I want to watch that I haven't seen is The Fog. That one is like late 70s. And so that's the next one on my list. I've been kind of on a John Carpenter kick.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Fog either. I think Jeremy Spalding mentioned vampires, and I loved the first one. The one with Bon Jovi in it sucked though.
I don't think I saw the one with Bon Jovi.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was the second one. Pretty sure. But yeah, it was horrible. It was the one where they go to Mexico.
The best Mexico vampire movie is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's a pretty cool movie, man. That's a movie that like really takes a turn that you didn't see coming necessarily.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't see the preview and you just sat down to watch that, that movie basically does a complete 180, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, I saw it in theaters and had no clue it had anything to do with vampires.
Let's see. I'm trying to follow the chat, and then sometimes it jumps. Let's see. There we go. Dark Star. I haven't seen that one, Jan. I'll check that out. Maximum Overdrive soundtrack. Maximum Overdrive is an interesting movie. I'm always been a big Stephen King fan.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kaylin Strange said Iowa no longer requires a permit to acquire or concealed carry permit, but background checks still done at stores. I have no problem with that. I mean, at all. As long as they're regulating who can legally buy a firearm, as you know, depending on like violent crimes and stuff.
Yeah,
Now if they
common sense is if you're a violent person and you've been convicted of those types of felonies, then maybe as a society, we need to have you not have a gun. It seems like a reasonable restriction. But I think at some point, people who have committed felonies and have served their time and, maybe enough time has gone by, like people should be able to restore their rights at some point if they've paid the price for what they've done. That's like a generalization. And I don't really know that. Fortunately, I don't have any felonies, so I don't really know how that works. I'm trying not to get any.
Right. And do my best.
Right. Let's see here. What
Welcome,
movies
Jeff.
do you guys like from the 80s and 90s? I'd like to hear. I'm a big movie guy. I'd like to hear what you guys like. Let's get nostalgic. I've been really enjoying that.
As cheesy as it is, I was a huge fan of the Brat Pack movies.
Oh, dude, those movies were huge.
Yeah. Breakfast Club was out of all of them, Breakfast Club was definitely my favorite. Clerks is a good one, dude. That's a good one. And there's Clerks 3 is coming out, and I have yet to find out if it's going to be black and white or color.
Yes, The Fog with Jamie Lee Curtis. That's the one. And then I can't remember her name, but she was like an actress from the 70s with like black hair, and she was in a lot of like 70s movies. She's in it too, and I can't think of her name. But that's one I want to see.
Oh, there's some good ones. Kids. That was a hell of a movie, Kids.
Yeah, Kids was one you watched it. It's like, ugh, like I don't feel so good after watching that movie. That's not a feel good movie. Like,
no.
You ever see Requiem for a Dream? That's not a feel good movie. That's a movie like I don't ever want to watch that again.
They're movies that make you really, really take a hard look at your life choices too, though.
No doubt. Warriors, that's an awesome movie. Apocalypse Now, Basic Instinct,
Fear and Loathing.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen Fear and Loathing a lot. If you guys that's a great book to read too. Just throw it on top of your toilet. You need to pick it up while you have a minute.
Young Guns 1 and 2. Oh, Tremors, dude. I think I still have the DVD set of I think it's the first 3. It's the good ones before like that last stupid one.
Right, before they just exploited the franchise to death. Trespass with Ice Cube. That movie's good. You guys ever see Surviving the Game with Ice-T? That movie's pretty good. Where they like pick him up, he's homeless, and then they hunt him, and he's got to survive. That's a cool one from back in the day. Mad Max. I've watched those. That was another one when I've been dipping into the 70s and 80s. Like, that was required viewing, Mad Max and The Road Warrior. Thunderdome wasn't my favorite. I ain't gonna lie. It's okay.
Basic Instinct, dude. That that was one of those controversial movies at the time, and everybody was talking
Absolutely.
about.
Boys in the Hood is awesome, Jason. I also like Menace to Society. It's like a
Hmm.
little heavier, a little more,
Yeah.
maybe stereotypical, but like O Dog, man, like O
Oh,
Dog's the best.
yeah.
And then South Central is another one of those like black culture movies from back in the day that I love. Reservoir Dogs, Chris Wolf, Langoliers. I read that back in the day, and that was like a made for TV, right? And
Hmm.
it was like a mini series, and I haven't watched it, but I need to watch that one for sure.
Yeah, I think I've got that one too. I got a heap of Stephen King movies, like even the made for TV ones, like Golden Years and all kinds of all the obscure ones.
I love the Dead Zone. Like I've watched that so many times, and I love Firestarter. Like that movie, you just want her to burn that whole fucking
Yeah.
thing down. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
those movies are great. And another John Carpenter movie is Christine. Like that was one of his. With the car, and yeah, dude, big Stephen King fan.
Heck yeah. Oh, Paul Bessemer answered the clerk's question. Color, but they're also shooting in. He said it's basically both. It's going to be color and black and white, I guess. So that'll be cool. Pulp Fiction. Oh, dude, the first time I watched Pulp Fiction, I may or may not have been participating in the usage of some jazz cabbage myself. So
So that devil's lettuce.
yeah, it whew, that was quite a way to experience that movie for your first time.
Man, who doesn't love Pulp Fiction, right? Like my dad, who doesn't like violent movies and stuff. Like, he doesn't won't watch horror movies with me growing up, but he went and saw Pulp Fiction. He came always like, Ben, you got to see this movie, man. He's like, this was the best movie I've ever seen. We're going tomorrow. I'm like, all right, cool, And like we went and saw it, and I was like, let's see it again. And I think we probably saw it. We saw it at least twice. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it 3 times. I have to ask him. But what an amazing film.
Oh, here's another one, True Romance. This is
Oh
my
yeah,
my
dude.
favorite part is daggone Brad Pitt smoking reefer out of the little honey bear bong he made, and like I think Christian Slater says something to him or someone. No, no, it was one of the mob guys. They're trying to find somebody and they say something to him and he's like don't fucking condescend me, man. I'll fucking kill you, man.
It's the best, dude. It was like
you're
the best stoner anyone's ever played.
you're not killing anybody.
Right.
Oh,
Don't
I
condescend
don't
me,
think I've
man.
seen anybody say, has anybody seen Suicide Kings? That was a
I don't think I've
badass
seen
movie
that.
with Christopher Walken. Dennis Leary's in it. These kids kidnap the dude and they end up cutting his finger off and stuff. But I can't remember what it's all about. But yeah, dude, you got it's a good one. Suicide Kings was messed up. It was messed up, but it was a good movie. Puts the lotion on its skin. Silence of the Lambs was definitely a good one. And I'm trying to remember because I just saw this not too long ago. The movie where the trucker kept saying candy cane. It was like candy cane, and wasn't one of them's named like Rusty Nail or something? I'm gonna find out for you, bees.
True Romance is awesome. I've seen that a million times. I love Gary Oldman in that, dude. Like, what a just crazy character he plays in that. And the
Yeah,
dialogue, like, you're getting good dialogue in a Quentin Tarantino movie, but it's excellent in that. Um,
it's Joyride, bees. Oh, oh, well, you're telling me, and I'm telling you.
Gleaming the Cube, of course, dude. I saw Gleaming the Cube in the theater. Like I couldn't have been more than 8 when I saw that movie. We'd have to know what year it came out, but super stoked for that one because that was when like skateboarding was huge. Tony Hawk was in it. Obviously, Christian Slater was in it. Great movie. Man, I'm having a hard time with movies these days. Like they were just so good back then, and like I didn't have politics back then. I just love movies. You know, now like people in Hollywood, they get all political, and it's like, oh man, like kind of spoils it for me. You know, like hearing how political you guys are about everything, it almost like kind of just sours it just a little bit. And I think, frankly, with all of the quality content that shifted over to the like Netflix and things like that, I think movies are hurting a little bit. I mean, my wife and I, for a while there, we're going to the movie theater every weekend, and dude, we'd see like 4 bombs in a row before we'd catch a good one. And it's like you spend a lot of money to go to the movies these days. So I've just been looking backwards because it's almost guaranteed to be awesome.
Oh yeah. Somebody said, where'd he go? Let's see. Point Break was a good one. The Jerk. that was a freaking awesome movie. That's so funny, man. Like that. Steve Martin was hilarious back in the day.
Whatever happened to that guy, man? Like he kind of stopped doing stuff, huh?
I don't know. Did he die?
I don't think so. I think I saw on Facebook he had a birthday recently. Someone posted a picture of him like younger and older, but he was super present in the 80s and I'm sure into the 90s, and then he just seemed to disappear.
Oh, he probably got rich off those what were those movies with all the kids that he was in?
Oh yeah, yeah. Father of the Bride.
Yeah. He probably got rich off those and retired.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene in the Jerk is the when he's working at the gas station, the oil can scene. It's like somebody really hates those oil cans.
Oh man. Someone's making Pee Wee Herman references. Tell them Large Marge said you. What, dude? That was another great movie. That was what's his name? The director who did Edward Scissorhands and Batman.
Oh, Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. That's a Tim Burton movie. That's why it's weird and awesome.
Yeah, and Kevin Smith loves Tim Burton.
He would.
No, he can't stand him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he made a comment about the Tim Burton Batman movies or whatever, and he said he got a letter, like basically a cease and desist type letter from his Tim Burton's publicist, whose name is Bumble Ward or whatever, and said, I don't know, basically it came down to Tim Burton basically said, I would never, my film would never copy that because I've never even read a comic book. And Kevin Smith was like, yeah, well, that's obvious if you've ever seen the Batman movies.
That's funny, man. Someone where Steve Martin is teaching masterclass. That's cool. Like on acting or comedy or both. That'd be really cool to see. Cheech and Chong Up and Smoke. I mean, that's a classic. Coming to America with Eddie Murphy right now. That movie's awesome. You know what I say to my kids sometimes? I'm like, I will be forced to thrash you. And like, they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, Eddie Murphy, man, when he picks up the mop in Coming to America. Like, put that down or I'll be forced to thrash you. And I think that's Samuel L. Jackson at that point, the robber.
Heathers, that's a good one.
Yeah. See, look how many good movies we can rattle off from that era. And it's like hard to do the same, like let's say 2010 to 2020. It's just not the same.
You could probably watch them and almost be like watching it for the first time again because it's been so long.
Yeah, you can certainly re-enjoy them. You also can start to recognize like how old we're getting because like they're dated, especially the stuff from the 80s and the early 80s is getting pretty dated.
Oh yeah,
but that's part of the appeal.
Paul says everybody has such great taste in movies. The nostalgia is running deep. It sure is, man.
Yeah, man, I love that. I've been really getting into that. Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt was hilarious. We can get off on a tangent here and talk about how much better comedies used to be too.
Oh
Like you
yeah.
can't even, basically you can't make a comedy anymore. Those days are over. Like we've become very sensitive, and you can't offend, you can't poke fun at people like you used to be able to, and then just forget about it after it ends. And I feel like that kind of like brevity is what allowed us to kind of respect each other's differences a little bit. Like, I know you see it and you kind of called it out in a funny way, and now we can laugh about it because we all know it's there.
Yeah.
And that kind of broke the ice. You know what I mean? And it's like now anybody's afraid to break the ice, say something they're gonna, get freaking canceled over. Wah wah wah.
Exactly.
Joey, do
Like,
you watch gladiator movies? Like, have you ever been in a you ever seen a grown man naked?
yeah, the airplane movies would not go over too well right now, I don't think.
No way, man.
Or like the Dice Clay movie, like Andrew Dice Clay, I don't think he would go over very well.
It's a non-starter. Dark Gravity, you said Alien is still amazing. I have to agree. I rewatched that movie not that long ago. That movie's from 19, I think 78, maybe. And like, I mean, it stands up so well. The sets, the mood, the way it was filmed, like masterpiece. Like what a freaking masterpiece. Part two is awesome because it's James Cameron and it's action packed and everything. But I have a lot of love for part one because like it's about the mood, it's about the suspense, and it's about how they like build up to what happens, and it's just a different atmosphere from part two. Like
Yeah.
I'm a Terminator 1 guy over Terminator 2. I love them both. Don't get me wrong. But like the first one was just like it was groundbreaking, and they didn't have a huge budget, and they just made him so like relentless in his pursuit, and he was like this new kind of villain to me. And then part two was like we've got the biggest budget in the world to do everything we want. And so I don't know. I got a lot of love for part one in that situation, and anything after part two, I think kind of sucks.
That's exactly like the Friday movies right there. The
Exactly,
first
dude.
one, low budget as hell, is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life. It did so well, so they had a huge budget on the second movie, and it was and then after that, it was
Yep. Yeah, you can't sometimes recreate the magic that happens from like someone with a passion project and not a lot of money, but the will to do it. You know what I mean? And then like they infect everybody around them, so they come in and take less money to do the project just because they want it to be fucking awesome. And that's how you get a movie like Friday. You know what I mean? Like a lot of those actors, that was an all-star cast. There's no way they got paid what they normally would have been, but they just wanted to be a part of it. And then when you try to recreate that for part two, it's like, nope, you're missing the magic ingredient. Ain't gonna happen.
exactly. And I think I read like they made like they were getting paid like $500 to do that movie, like the first Friday. And but I mean the chemistry between um Chris Tucker and Ice Cube was like, I mean, you can't, that's like nothing that can be written in a script.
No, I bet a bunch of that was ad libbed. You know what I mean? As
Oh
they were
yeah.
going, and like just the characters, dude. The dad, he's like so funny. Like anytime I say this to my kids, like when he pours out the cereal and there's no milk, he's like, "Better pour some water on this shit."
Yeah.
It's like they didn't write that in the script. Like that's just hilarious, man. And I always think to my kids, like, "Oh, what are you gonna do with that now? You can pour some water on that. You better eat that."
He comes, "Well, don't nobody go in there for about 45 minutes."
Right. Oh man, 35, 45 minutes. Oh,
John, did you see the movie about how a slice of apple pie is $2 in Jamaica and 3.50 in the Bahamas? I feel like it's got something about the pie rates in the Caribbean.
yeah, I haven't seen that movie.
Oh
Harlem
no.
Nights. Harlem Nights is amazing.
Yeah.
man. Like, yeah, that's a classic. Like the whole pinky toe scene, you know? He fucking shoots off her pinky toe. Oh man, yeah, it's a great movie.
Oh no, has anybody mentioned Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, someone set it up there.
Okay.
That's just like, I mean, you talk about like like movies that were so good that everybody liked, you know? And I just don't think you're ever gonna, never say never, but I don't see Hollywood ever doing stuff like that again.
No, there's no way. Christopher's Tanks, what's up, buddy? Fletch. Yeah, that was Chevy Chase was funny for what, maybe a movie or two. He was great in the vacation movies, I
But
thought.
yeah,
And then I don't know, once he got his little talk show, it was over then.
Gene Wilder, Mel Brooks, Richard Pryor, yes, those movies would not be made today. It's not
No.
happening. But
Blazing Saddles, nope.
Blazing, yeah, and like that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, you know, racial tensions were arguably worse back then than they are now. Like we have racial tension today, but there was a lot more inequality back then than there is now. And like you needed guys like Richard Pryor to work with a dude like Mel Brooks to kind of write comedy like that, so like we could bridge the gap and laugh at each other. Like that shit's medicine, in my
Yeah.
opinion. That's healing for people who are suffering differences with each other. And I don't know. I feel like that treatment's off the table at the moment.
Oh yeah, for sure. It it all those Mel Brooks movies, man, he would not have a career these days.
No. And like, is anyone really doing parody movies anymore? Like, they're done. They don't even exist. I think
Mm-mm.
probably Scary Movie. Those were probably the last ones to pull it off, like the Wayne's Brothers movies.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of other ones that came out. Like they had like the romantic comedy version, or like romantic comedy version of that, and then there was like the action movie version, and I don't remember the name of them, but um, I don't think they really did as well. They just weren't. They kind of were trying to ride on the Scary Movie coattails, and they weren't as well done.
Mm-hmm.
Debbie, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, Dark Gravity said Debbie Does Dallas is a classic.
Let's see here. Yeah, you guys really did pull out a great list. Highlander, that movie's awesome. You know, like who's if you're a knife guy and you like swords, like you've seen the Highlander. You know, and they're
And
talking about Anchorman. Like
yeah,
you for sure in the 2000s, like inappropriate comedy did kind of have its run there into the 2000s. Like there was that new era of like really funny movies, like with Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn, and like Austin Powers movies. Like those are hilarious.
yep,
And I don't know. I think they kind of played out some of those movies too. Like the Hangover 1 and then the Hangover 2 and then the Hangover 3, and it's like you kind of burn out the formula after a while. And I just feel like we haven't really been able to kind of redo it since then. Like I love the movie Old School. Like that movie is so funny.
oh yeah.
That movie's so funny.
Animal House. I saw earlier. Somebody said Porky's. hmm
Those were like groundbreaking comedies back then.
That without them, I don't think there ever would have been like American Pie and movies like that. Van
Exactly.
Wilder.
Exactly. What's the movie called with I think it's called Waiting. You ever see that movie with
Oh yeah,
Ryan Reynolds where
yeah,
they work in a restaurant? The guy keeps like showing him his balls.
yeah. He's like, this one's called the Batwing, and
Yeah. That's so funny, man. And it's like who's making those movies today? I don't think anybody is.
nobody. American History X. That
That's a
was
thought provoking movie.
very.
Yeah, 15 pieces of flair. Yeah, that's hilarious. Another guy who's like super creative. I'm so fortunate that he's been making content is Mike Judge. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
Beavis and Butthead. Um, the propane accessories, King of the Hill, Office Space, Silicon Valley. Like, talk about the movie where they're all like getting dumb in the future, where everybody's saying like we've become that. What the hell is it called? Idiocracy. Like, thank God for Mike Judge, dude. He has delivered us some of the greatest movies and TV shows. Uh, from in like he's spanned now over 2 decades. Like, that's awesome. If I said
Yeah.
The Office, I meant to say Office Space, but The Office is an amazing show. But I was talking about Office Space. Like, you watch those movies, man, you got to watch them 20 times to start like really appreciating some of the comedy, and then you start memorizing the lines and working them into your everyday life, and then you're waiting to see who gets it.
Flatliners, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane, I think he's another like Mike. I wouldn't say he's necessarily as good as Mike Judge, but I mean, pretty close. Pretty freaking talented, and the voices that he does is freaking crazy funny.
I gotta drop my camera for 1 sec. Just give me a minute.
No, don't drop your camera; it might break.
And we're back.
Coffee. Heck yeah, Jackie Brown. That was a killer movie.
That's Elmore Leonard. If you guys ever get into reading,
Oh
check
yeah,
out
the
Elmore.
Be Cool and Get Shorty.
Yeah, Get Shorty. And so I'm from Michigan originally, the Detroit area, and that's where Elmore Leonard is from. So, like, when you grow up in Detroit and you like crime stories, you read Elmore Leonard, and that dude is a master of dialogue. So if anybody's looking for something kind of cool to read, fiction, check out Elmore Leonard's books. They're awesome.
Well, the Rock's character in it was Be Cool, wasn't it? The second one,
I don't know.
Get Shorty was yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, but the Rock's character in that movie was hilarious. He played like a gay up and coming actor and
I think I remember that now. That's
with the
awesome.
tight pink polyester pants, and he'd keep doing that. Like he'd do his little monologue, and he'd be like, "And scene." All right,
Another
Blaze, if
thing,
you're still in here, appreciate you hanging out with us, man. And good to have you, and you have a good night. And I'm glad you had a good time. That Brandon Thrasher said, "Yes, be cool."
yeah, be cool. Another thing that was funny, and it's like we don't have anymore, and I saw someone mention it, made me think about it, is like the series of Adam Sandler movies. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you had a bunch of them come out, and his shit was different from what anybody else was really doing. Billy Madison, um, what's the hockey one where he plays golf?
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, Mr. Deeds. Like, he has several of those movies in a row that were just ridiculous and really good. Waterboy, exactly. And like, how many of you guys had like? Remember, we used to buy comedy albums. Like, do those exist anymore? Remember, they're all gonna laugh at you. The Adam Sandler album with had like the
Yeah.
relentless beating of a high school janitor on it.
Yes.
And it's like, what the hell is that even? Like, that shit's hilarious. Like Toll Booth Willie.
They
And
had
then
one of them had that medium pace. He had the little songs on it like medium pace and
yeah,
Lunch
spit on your
Ladyland
hand.
and
Exactly. Spit on your hand. It's like, oh my gosh, man. I'm just cracking up thinking about that. That's
the one with
awesome.
the what was the one with the principal, and he says something about his hairy crotch. He's like, yes, yes, I've veritable forest down there.
Oh man.
That was
Oh,
I
the
was
goat.
lucky because my roommate in the when I was in the army, he was a huge Adam Sandler fan, and he had all of those, like all of his comedy albums. We just sit there and get a little tipsy-fied and listen to those and laugh our asses off.
Dude, those were great. I had like Sam Kinison albums. I had Dice Clay albums. I had George Carlin albums. I had Richard Pryor albums, and of course, Adam Sandler albums. And it's like, man, you'd play those things over and over and over again, and they were so good. Oh man, good times.
Well, no problem, Brandon. At any time you need us to remind you of how old you are, we're here for you, buddy. We'll take one for the team and remind you.
Just
Um,
embrace it. Just
yeah,
embrace it.
exactly. It's not old. It's experienced.
You're wise now.
I think somebody else. Oh, Duke's taking off. So both of y'all have a good night, Duke and Mr. Brandon. And I say Mr. because of your age. Um, y'all have a great night, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Oh, Robin Williams. Yeah, he's been funny since day one. Back when I used to love Mork and Mindy, like even as a little kid, not even realizing quite the extent of his humor. That was just a funny show.
Yeah, he was truly talented. Absolutely.
Nobody's doing he's doing the Dice Clay
Yes.
bits.
We know the rest of that. We know the rest. Hickory dickory dock. Jeremy's promoting Brandon's channel. Everybody support the community. Check out some of our other fellow channels. It's awesome. Keep up the good work, Jeremy.
You're doing a good job there, buddy. Uh, what's up with you, Jason Brown? You need to pick up the slack there, man. You're making Jeremy do all the work.
Take it easy out there, Paul. I was kind of catching up today on it's Hurricane Henry, right? That's coming up that way. It's about to smash Long Island, parts of Massachusetts. So everybody, if you're out that way, stay safe, fellas.
Yeah, those hurricanes are no joke. I used to trip. Well, I still do, but like summer is the worst time of year for me because I those hurricanes kind of freak me out a little bit. Not a fan at all. Oh, Jason Brown mentioned Soap, and that show was freaking hilarious. The character that carried around the dummy, the ventriloquist dummy. I was just messing with you, Jason. I was just giving you shit. You're doing a great job yourself, man. And dude, I know how getting links on the phone is. It blows.
Yeah, be safe, Paul. You're in the eye of it. Yeah, be safe, buddy. I don't know what it's like to prep for a hurricane, but I imagine you got to be boarding up windows and sandbagging things and making sure you got water and food and a generator or whatever. And just who has
Ice
time
and
for that shit?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck.
Usually, what I do is I buy a bunch of ice, and I've got three or four of the like Yeti type coolers that will keep the stuff cold forever. I'll buy ice and put any meats and stuff in there, and then make sure I'm good on charcoal and that's pretty much it. Candles, stuff like that, flashlights, batteries. But other than that, we'll just roll with it because I'm not close enough to where it's going to really do any damage to the house unless a tree falls on it. And I've got two trees in my yard total, and they are more than likely not in any danger of falling on the house.
We don't really have too many natural disasters here in Phoenix. Farther up north, they get some pretty gnarly fires. And of course, it's hot as balls in the summer, but that's not exactly a natural disaster.
Where are you located?
Phoenix.
Oh, okay.
Yep, Phoenix.
So oppressive heat is pretty much it.
Yeah.
Take it easy, Marco.
Heat,
Yeah.
open your oven, stick your head in it, and that's what it feels like for 4 or 5 months. It's awesome. Yeah, Jason, Are You Being Served? That's that British comedy show, right? I feel like I used to stay up late and watch that one when I was a kid. I remember that. Were they in like a department store? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
I
You'll have
don't
to let me
remember
know.
that one myself. I remember Faulty Towers. That one was pretty good with John Cleese, and they ran like a little inn. That one was good. Benny Hill. No, oh, the the Monty Python movies.
Yeah.
I miss
Man.
those.
And I have a hard time like getting my son doesn't have much interest in movies. He's 8. He's just not there. My daughter, she likes to watch movies, but I cannot get her to like go down memory lane with me on stuff. And I'm just like, come on, like they can't be that bad to watch, for you. Are they really that bad? She's like, I can't like look at the quality of the film. Like, look at these people. I'm like, just not there. Hopefully you get there. Because I just sit there by myself and go down memory lane. It's like it'd be a lot cooler if you would, find this interesting. But what can you do?
See, Ninja knows Faulty Towers. The little what was the little? He's like the little janitor or whatever, maintenance man or butler. The Manuel. Dude, that show was so hilarious.
I remember Jared White mentions Duckman. Dude, that rings a bell. I'm gonna have to kind of remind myself what that was, but that sounds super familiar.
What is it?
He says Duckman on Comedy Central, a vulgar adult cartoon.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, no problem, Marco. It's good to see you, buddy. Take it easy and have a good night, buddy. Oh, man. Do you do you remember Howard the Duck?
Yep. I tried to put that on, because I was like, maybe this is age appropriate, because I was like, this is an animated or not an animated duck, but like an animatronic duck. But like right in the beginning, he's got like a cigar and he's like, like checking out chicks' asses. It's like, no,
No,
not good for an
not age
8-year-old.
not age appropriate at all.
No, Howard the Duck.
Disco Beaver from Outer Space.
I saw Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I don't know about a Disco Beaver.
I hadn't seen that one. I've seen Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, that movie was really good. That's got Steve Martin in it. He's the dentist. And then Bill Murray's in the dentist chair.
Yep.
That's a great movie. Right, Jason? Dude, we can't show our kids those movies, dude. Like it's a non-starter.
I'm happy to see you guys, Joe. I forgot my magic thumb was sticking up there because it doesn't really bend. So Rocky Horror Picture Show. That's a good movie, but golly, Tim Curry is disturbing in that movie, man.
Yeah, you got to be in like the right mood to sit down and watch that one, I think.
Yeah. And I never, I know a lot of my friends were, but I never did the whole interactive experience going to the movies to watch it, where you throw stuff at the screen and say shit at certain times. And that was a whole big thing.
What's y'all's favorite Friday the 13th and your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street?
I think my favorite Friday the 13th would be the second one.
Where he's got the bag on his head?
Yeah. And my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street would be Dream Warriors. But like Big Red said.
Yep, I agree on Dream Warriors. I'm going with Jason Lives is my favorite Friday the 13th. where like in the beginning he's in the grave and the dude like stabs the wrought iron fence to him and lightning strikes it and it
Yeah.
reignites him. It was like kind of when they started introducing some comedic elements to the horror, like when he rips the guy's arm off, chucks him in the tree, and it leaves like a smiley face
Yeah.
behind. I love that one. Jason Takes Manhattan is surprisingly good too. Like they were pretty deep into the franchise at that point, and I thought they did all right with that one.
Yeah, Todd Carr says Dream Warriors Part 3, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Part 3. That's what I was thinking it was. So you confirming that makes me think even more that it was Part 3. Friday the 13th Part 2 and Nightmare on Elm Street 1. Which really, I mean, you can't beat any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movie or Friday. Well, towards the end, Friday the 13th got kind of dumb. And I guess really Nightmare on Elm Street did too, but the what's the one where they're making the movie?
Yeah, that's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
That was kind of an interesting one. It was like a different spin. Me and
Yeah.
Jeremy aren't seeing eye to eye on Jason Takes Manhattan. That's okay. That's okay. We don't have to like all the same stuff. I thought it was cool they were on a boat and, you know, but anyway, it was getting a little, they were stretching it a little thin there at the end. Well, even though there was a few more after that, I stopped following along at some point.
Jen said the first Nightmare on Elm Street was the first scary movie I ever watched, and for a month after, I would see Freddy burning on the bed every time I closed my eyes.
That's what it's all about, right there.
It is.
It's how they know they're doing a good job.
Exactly. It's like when you had little kids scared to get in the bathtub after Jaws or Piranha.
When you watch Jaws now, it's like, man, it's like, you know, it's pretty dated. The cinematography, like Spielberg's filming style is awesome. You know, the way he sets up every shot. But like the shark itself, it's like, man, you know, if they did it today, they'd have a little more shark action.
Oh yeah.
But still an amazing film.
Yeah, I would like to see Jaws redone with like some like good quality CGI, and I think that would be pretty badass.
You know what? It would be amazing if Spielberg stepped up and did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
no, I wouldn't want anybody else.
Yes.
Oh, dude.
I agree.
That was another one I went to see in the theaters, maybe or maybe not under the influence of a.
You can't go see Half-Baked sober. It's like they check at the door that your eyes are bloodshot, and if they're not, you're not getting in.
Nope. Sorry. Come back when you're high. Nope. Sorry. Come back. That and Fear and Loathing was another one. And dude, I'm gonna tell you, the real world did not seem real when I walked out of Fear and Loathing. Because I mean, on top of the fact you've been in a dark theater for 2+ hours, you just watched this insane freaking movie, and it was, dude, it took me a minute. Like I had to recover from that movie for a good hour or so.
Yeah, they're like, you know, when he like turns into like a lizard man, and you know, like when the floor is all like, what happens to the floor? He's in the casino and I don't know, he's got like flippers on or something. They're tripping hard.
The vines like in the carpeting, I think, like, and then it was flooded, but it really was. It was freaking crazy. Oh dang, there's another one I haven't thought of in years. Salt Lake City Punk.
Yeah, that's got I don't know that actor's name, but he's good. Who's in that? The main character. They don't play that often.
Is it Jeremy Lillard?
I don't know his name, but he's super recognizable. He's in Hackers too. Someone mentioned that movie earlier.
Yeah, that's him. Wasn't he in Scream?
Yes.
Yeah, that's him. It's something Lillard. Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard. He was in that 13 Ghosts movie too.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It was the one I saw was a remake of an older movie, but it's where they move into that house with basically the former owner had imprisoned ghosts pretty much. Which the Scream movies, the first, especially the first one, that one was actually, it kind of got me.
Yeah, it was the first of that genre of like newer teen slasher movies.
Yeah.
And there was a few that rolled out after that, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Final Destination's not the same because it kind of had its own shtick, but like I feel like
Yeah.
those were in the same era. Um, that's not a good movie for people who are afraid to like get in a plane crash.
Yeah. I had a had a Final Destination. It actually made me think of the movie. This glass, basically a sneeze shield, wasn't set up properly at work, and it fell. I caught it at the last minute, but I thought it was going to hit the metal table and bust everywhere. And that, like when I walked off, I was like, one of the students was walking past me. I was like, man, that was a Final Destination moment right there. And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? Oh yeah, I forget the age difference. Like you have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's like go stream it. What's your guys' favorite like science fiction movie? Like, let's pick a genre.
Science fiction.
I would go, not like maybe favorite of all time, but I'm a huge fan of Starship Troopers. That
Yeah.
movie's awesome. And I'll throw in like a honorable mention sci-fi horror. I'll go with, besides the obvious ones like Alien, I'll go with Event Horizon.
Uh, Amityville Horror. That was a pretty horrific movie.
Jason Brown, Event Horizon. Dude, are we brothers from another mother? That's what I want.
Quite possibly. Yeah, I'm coming up blank on my favorite sci-fi movie because I really liked like the older kind of low production quality. Um,
Equilibrium is a cool movie.
I tell you what was a crappy movie is that one where the dude gets stranded on Mars. I think it was called The Martian,
I
maybe.
don't think I missed that one. I missed that one.
It's got is
Matt
it
Damon
Jason
in that?
Bourne? Yeah, Matt
Oh,
Damon.
yeah, I missed that one.
I wasn't a big fan. Um,
Total Recall is pretty good.
yeah.
And
Oh,
I guess would you call RoboCop science fiction? I guess you'd have to.
yeah, for sure. But I just found mine. It was The Fifth Element.
Oh yeah, dude,
Big Bada Boom.
that movie's awesome.
Hmm. Go was a oh not science fiction. Mars Attacks. Oh, Tron, that was a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ignoring your remark, bees. We're not speaking on my age right now.
Biodome. I love Biodome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pauly Shore had a good run there for a minute too, right?
What,
Biodome,
two
Encino
movies, I
Man.
think.
Yeah, Encino Man, Biodome. Yep,
Son-in-law.
Son-in-Law. That's what I was trying to say. Son-in-Law. And I feel like there's got to be another one in there that I'm not thinking of.
Well, he had In the Army Now, but that was like
It,
the beginning of the end.
yeah.
And it was kind of like because I saw that in the theater too, and I walked out and I was kind of like, okay, I'm probably not gonna catch the next Pauly Shore movie. Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yeah, I
That was a
remember
good
that.
one. Jeff Goldblum.
Yep. The Fly is a pretty excellent science fiction movie from back in the day. You know, it's a kind of obscure movie I love is Scanners. You ever see that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a David Cronenberg movie. Is that his name? David Cronenberg? My brain's starting to fry. We've been digging deep into the files.
Which I don't know if I guess you would. I mean, it's not really sci-fi, but Hackers was. I thought that was a good movie. That was one of my favorite movies when it came out.
That was an excellent movie, and it was like cool that they were starting to address like the concept in Hollywood. You
Yeah.
know, like kind of that underground, like making nerds cool, like programmers cool, and kind of showing that in a whole different light. You
Yeah.
know, that was awesome.
Oh, another movie that kind of it's definitely not science fiction, but it kind of did the same thing. Sneakers.
Oh, that movie's really good. That movie's
Yes.
really good. Yeah.
So good. And it was like talk about an all-star cast.
Yep. You had Aykroyd and Redford. Who else was
The
in that?
the dang the
Dustin Hoffman, was he in that? Who was the blind guy?
that was David. What the heck was his name? I think his. Well, Ninja, since you watch Sneakers, tell us what the blind guy's name was, like the actor's name. But River Phoenix was in it.
Yeah.
Oh, the chick that was in wasn't that chick in Dances with Wolves, like Mary McDonnell or something like that? Oh,
Mary
uh,
Elizabeth Mastrantonio, whatever her name was. Is it her?
no, it was
Clockwork Orange is a great movie. Anything Stanley Kubrick is like, if you're a movie guy, you got to watch him.
Blue Velvet.
That movie's weird. That's David Lynch. That movie's
Yeah,
awesome.
so weird. Like and Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. Yeah, those are bizarre.
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, Mary McDonnell. She was in Dances with Wolves. David Strathern, Straith something, Strathern was the blind dude. Aykroyd, Sidney Poitier, Ben Kingsley,
Yeah, Ben Kingsley's in that.
James Earl Jones.
That you know what? You're right. That cast was stacked in that movie. That cast was stacked.
And it was 92. Dang.
I'm telling you, man, like from let's just say I don't know where you start the cutoff. Let's just say like 75 through like maybe 2005. You had so many good movies in that window that I don't think it could continue. You know what I mean? Like they just absolutely pumped out some of the best film that will ever be. And I just don't think we'll ever get anything like it. Golden era.
No.
They're
What
making
was
movies
the
for the Chinese market now.
what was the movie with Angela Bassett in it where you could experience stuff like through that they would take people's experiences and put them on like a chip. Oh crap.
Was Keanu Reeves in that?
I don't think so. Um,
Someone said Mindscape. Is that what you're thinking of?
no, it was
End of Days, Jason said, or people are just naming movies they like too.
it was in like it was mid 90s, I think.
Did she
Maybe
have like long hair in that movie?
yeah,
And it was set
yeah.
in the future.
And she was like stacked, like she was like
I remember.
ripped.
I'm
Um,
looking it up. I wish I could remember it before I cheat.
yeah, no, me too. It's killing me. Is this none of these? Oh, still I
Strange
got a
Days.
group back.
Strange Days.
Yep. Yep, that was it.
Yep. 95.
Yeah, because that was dude, 90s. I kind of after probably 2000 or so, I didn't go to the movies as much. 90s, like that was what I did for fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Me.
at least one movie a week, usually two or more.
Yep. Same. Yep.
Um, I can remember because and I would sit there like just enthralled every movie I watched. The first movie that didn't do so well with me was that Island of Dr. Moreau movie, and I
I
fell
skipped it.
asleep. Yeah, you good job, man, because it sucked. Ooh,
You
Tank
just weren't.
Girl.
There weren't as many duds. Like, of course, there were duds maybe that didn't live up to what their expectations were, but just there were so many good ones to choose from. And if a movie didn't do well, a lot of times just because it was up against something that was going to do better, and
Yeah,
then you can't be at two places at once. Um, yeah, someone's mentioning some good ones. Predator hasn't been mentioned, but almost goes without saying, right? As far as
yeah.
a science fiction movie, that's awesome. Boondock
Boondock
Saints,
Saints. Yep.
that's a great movie. Like, great movies.
I think somebody mentioned the cat scene in in Boondock Saints earlier. That was.
That movie's very interesting, and like you got Willem Dafoe in there, the gay FBI agent. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like what a bizarre but like super good movie that
It,
has to be seen.
it was a firefight.
Right? That's hilarious, man. I was in the arcade playing Mortal Kombat. Uh, you know, that's something at least I can kind of relate to with my son. He's like super into video games, and he likes to kind of play some of the older stuff. And so he likes to ask me questions about what it was like. And I tell him, like, in the 90s, we had a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo or whatever, but the arcade had the better games. Like, we weren't quite there yet with the home system. So if you wanted to play the cutting edge games, you either, had a PC that was state of the art, and you still weren't necessarily playing the arcade games. So we went to the local arcade and just pumped just ridiculous amounts of quarters in those machines to play those games. And that was a really cool era. Like my local arcade where I grew up, after the home consoles got really good, they basically converted everything into ticket games. Like win tickets, trade them in for shitty prizes.
Yeah.
And it's like the era of the arcade where you had like NBA Jam, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and you had like the Terminator 2 gun game, and like the Simpsons game and the X-Men games and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. Like those games
Alien
were all
versus Predator.
Alien versus Predator,
You,
and and lots of pinball games. So you could just go there, man, and waste away.
yeah, you'd walk up and put your quarter down. I got winner.
That's right. There'd be like 7 of them all
Mm.
lined up.
That's my friend Bo was like the master of Mortal Kombat. Like he knew every fatality. I mean, he was just badass. And it was funny. You'd go up there, and the person he'd be, whoever he'd be playing, would have like one quarter up there, and he'd have a row of like 15 of them, where people would keep coming up and throwing their quarters down. And he'd drop one down and he'd be like, no, even if I lose, I'm still playing.
Right.
But he never lost.
There's always that one guy, man, who just like is a savant for it, and he just wins until he has to leave. It's like I was
Yeah.
never that guy. I wish I was.
Jigsaw said that was me. Well, you were Bo? Holy crap. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. Bo's crazy as hell. He could be. He'd play a joke like that. Be like seeing the dude for months, chatting and in and out of different live streams, and then one day, hey man, what's been going on? That's been me the whole time.
Uh, Eggs and Ham mentioned Killer Instinct. That game was so freaking cool. I don't know where I saw it. I watched something about Killer Instinct. I don't know. I watched it on TV, and they were talking about that game, and I didn't know this because at this point I wasn't playing video games anymore. But they like rebooted that sometime in the 2000s, and there was a whole story about the game originally and then how they rebooted it. But something that kind of struck me as awesome was what they did in that game is when they programmed the machine, they would have like the introduction music at a certain volume. So like when a dude in the arcade would like plug in the game and set the volume, he'd hear the introduction music and he'd set the volume. But then when you play the game and like you throw a combo, the machine was like ultra combo. And so like because they wanted you to hear that shit when you walked in the door. And so
Oh
they did
yeah.
that on purpose and it worked. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
that's
for
such a
sure.
smart move.
Yeah, those were the good old damn days. But we're actually going to have to shut this one down because it's time for us to move on over and hit SKL on Jody's channel.
Word.
But dude, I really appreciate you coming on, Benny. I enjoyed the hell out of it, man.
Me too. This is great, man. This is what it's all about for me. I mean, we can talk about my knives anytime, and if anyone has any questions, just hit me up. But I like hanging out with the boys, and the
Yeah.
girls too. Don't get me wrong. I like hanging out with the community, and so to me, like this is awesome.
Oh
This
yeah,
is what
for
it's all
sure,
about
man.
for me. It's getting to know
For sure.
everybody.
Yeah, dude. Anytime you want to come on, man, you're more than welcome. Just hit me up. Um, I usually don't keep like a strict schedule of people that are, you know, slot like lined up to come on here. So just hit me up, and if that night's not free, probably the next one will be.
Well, I'm around, man. Like I said, I don't drink, I don't party anymore. I don't do that stuff. I work pretty much 6, 7 days a week, and so I'm trying to use my time to benefit my family, my livelihood, and my community. So I'll be around. I'll look forward to spending more time with you guys. And like I said, you guys have any questions? Hit me up. Support at jackwolfknives.com. Website's jackwolfknives.com. Instagram at jackwolfknives.
Heck yeah, man. I sure appreciate it. And I appreciate all you guys hanging out with us, taking time out of your busy schedules and out of your weekend nights and time with your family to come hang out and, like Benny said, hang with the guys. And like I've told you before, this is me hanging out with all my buddies, and I feel guilty every time I take time out of y'all's lives to hang out with me. But I certainly appreciate you, each and every one of you. And I love each and every one of you. You guys are welcome here anytime. And until next time, guys, get on out there and EDC your ass off and do something nice for somebody. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, fellas.